this Monday afternoon. Great weather for both of our Labor Day Classics as we look at Calgary. Clear skies and 13 degrees for the 5-5 Edmonton Eskimos and the 2-8 Calgary Stampeders. Meanwhile, here in southern Ontario, it's windy but mainly sunny, 28 degrees, where in just over 2.5 hours, a sellout crowd will watch the 5-5 Ticats take on the 6-4 Toronto Argonauts here at Iverwind Stadium. Good afternoon from Hamilton. I'm Brian Williams. It's good to be back from the Olympics. It's good to be here with the CFL on CBC. Sean Millington and Greg Frères are with me here in Hamilton. Our regular partner, Darren Flutie, standing by with Mark Lee in Calgary. Now, Sean, when I went to the Olympics 5 weeks ago, there was a quarterback problem in Calgary. I'm back in September, and there's still a quarterback problem in Calgary.
Quarterbacking has been an issue for the Calgary Stampeders all year long. But this isn't an issue that just developed. This is something that goes back to last year. Heading into the offseason, the Stamps were well aware that they were unhappy with the play of Marcus Crandall, which leads me to ask, why didn't Matt Dunnigan, in his role as general manager, do more about this situation earlier? Why didn't he take care of this in the offseason when it needed to be dealt with? As far as I'm concerned, the 2-8 start of the Calgary Stampeders can be directly attributed to poor play at this position. And that really makes me wonder, Greg, what does the underperforming offense, what kind of effect does that have for the defense? How does that change their mentality and how they perform on the field?
Well, unfortunately, you fall into a trap as a defensive player and as a defensive team. Say we have to do just a little bit more. We have to score a touchdown. We have to be able to get that interception to give our team a chance to win. And that's dangerous because what happens is you start stepping out of your role as a defensive player to try to get that accomplished. And everything breaks down when you do that. You have to stay within the structure of your defense. Keep it simple. Your job is to stop the Edmonton Eskimos from moving down the field. Your job is to keep the Edmonton Eskimos off the scoreboard. Keep it simple. Do your job, and they're going to be able to have some more success.
Ricky Ray has been released by the New York Jets. Now I'm hearing, what about Jason Moss's future in Edmonton? That doesn't make any sense to me. Does it make any sense to you, Sean?
Well, it definitely doesn't make any sense to me, Brian. How can people be questioning Jason Moss's future with the Edmonton Eskimos? 2 weeks ago, he set a CFL record with 20 of 22 pass completions. Last week, he went 18 for 22. This guy, I don't know what does he have to do to get some respect, because as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the most underappreciated, underrated quarterbacks in the CFL, and is on the strength of his arm and his performances that the Edmonton Eskimos have any sort of shot of going to the Grey Cup this year.
And Sean, he's a fiery guy, and the Labor Day Classic is an intense game. And you know, that intensity, I was thinking, who does that benefit? The Calgary Stampeders would be the natural conclusion, or the Edmonton Eskimos? I think it benefits the Edmonton Eskimos. This year, they have been guilty of being sluggish in certain games. They've taken bad penalties, just haven't shown up. But the intensity of the crowd, even though it's for the Calgary Stampeders, really could make them be sharp and allow their talents to come to the forefront.
Fellas, at halftime today in Calgary, they'll honor the great Alan Pitts, one of the great receivers in the history of the Canadian Football League. Now, speaking of great receivers, standing by out in Calgary is our buddy Darren Flutie. He'll call the game today with Mark Lee. There he is. Mark, can we classify him as a great receiver?
I don't know. He's the league leader in catches. I guess that qualifies. Thanks, Brian. Well, Darren, you've played in this big Labor Day Classic before as a member of the Eskimos. What can you say about the intensity of this rivalry?
Well, Labor Day is a whole different ball game. It's not a regular season game. It's got its own little entity right here. And I learned about it in '96 when I played with the Eskimos. We came down here to Calgary, and the first play of the football game, I'm running a crossing route, not even getting the football, and Alonzo Johnson just drills me with a forearm shiver under the chin, knocks me out cold for 8 seconds, and as I get up, he says, "Hey, welcome to Labor Day." And that's what it's all about. You know, I wanted to get my 7 little catches, 100 yards, and head back up north, but not happening. It's a physical game, and you better come ready to play some football.
Well, it's a big game environment to be sure, and how about Mike Pringle coming into this setting, chasing George Reed's all-time rushing record, needs just 192 yards to break that milestone. He's 3 touchdowns from Reed's gold standard of 137. He could do it today.
Wouldn't that be, it would just be perfect to be able to do it today. I mean, the yards are going to be tough. We may see it Friday back up in Edmonton. But Mike Pringle is not your typical Canadian Football League back. You know, you think of the scat backs, the out of the backfield receivers, and the speed running backs. but he's the ultimate power back, and he has excelled and proven that no one else is as good as Mike Pringle.
He's 36. He turns 37 in October. He might be in the best shape of anybody out there right now, and his career was nearly over in Montreal a few years ago.
Well, you talk to anyone, a lot of the free safeties, and Greg Frères would tell you, and I know Rob Hitchcock I used to play with would tell me all the time, would say, hey, hitting Mike Pringle is like hitting a brick wall. He's a strong man and he works hard.
Well, he'll be all pumped up for this game. Let's talk about your keys and Darren Fluty's Gillette game notes.
All right, thanks, Mark. Edmonton, offensively, they got to do the balancing act. They've been doing it well lately. Jason Moss distributing the ball to all his great receivers and Mike Pringle, the tremendous running back. He has to do that today for them to have a chance. Defensively, first and foremost is secondary. Kind of an oxymoron, but the secondary has played very well the last 3 weeks, but Donnie Brady is out. Can Stephen Marsh fill in the hole where Donnie Brady is gone this week? Offensively for the Stampeders, it's back to school, back to the basics. Matt Dunnigan was talking about this yesterday. Let's get a run game going. Let's do some safe, conservative passing, get the first downs. Defensively, no Moss. In the words of Roberto Duran, they got to limit Jason Moss, and to be effective, make Mike Pringle beat you. And that's our Gillette game notes.
Beautiful big sky for the Labor Day Classic, the Battle of Alberta, as we go to the sidelines, and here's Steve standing by.
So far, it's shaping up to look like it. You know, it's a great day, and it's going to be a packed house. So I think I'm just looking forward to having a fun game out here.
All the pregame hype has talked about Mike Pringle. Can you, as a defense, afford to just key on Pringle?
No, of course not. They have way too many receivers in that stable over there. So, you know, our job is to take away the run, you know, first of all, and then, you know, limit them what they can do offensively and just concentrate on the pass at that point.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Steve, it's time to take stock of your season on Labor Day. The Stampeders at 2-8, the Eskimos at 5-5, and Tom Hagen's team coming in on a 2-game winning streak after huge victories over Ottawa and Saskatchewan, but his team has a poor road record, just 1-4. Matt Dunnigan in his first Labor Day Classic as a head coach in the CFL. He's played 5 as a quarterback, all with the Eskimos between 1983 and 1987. His team coming in on a 3-game losing streak. For Calgary, it's time to prove that this emotionally charged atmosphere can turn the tide for an underdog. Kickoff, Labor Day here in Calgary. And the kickoff is dropped. And it's Sanford for Calgary, looking in trouble and caught just across his own 7-yard line. Coleman making the tackle for the Eskimos, a 3-yard return for the Calgary rookie, and tough field position for the Stampeders to open on their first offensive series of this football game. Tommy Jones getting his 5th start in his rookie campaign at quarterback in the CFL. He's 1-3 in his previous 4. And in his last 3 games, unable to complete more than 50% of his passes. He shows a lot of poise for the rookie, says Matt Dunnigan. But they've had to shorten the ready list in this football game. Dunnigan saying that in the past few weeks, he's had too much to digest as a quarterback. At his own goal line, into the flats. It's complete, and Regenbald has the ball for the Stampeders. He'll cross the 10-yard line for a gain of only 2 as we check the offensive lineup for the Stampeders.
Offensively, in the backfield, I think the big story is Jones, of course. Be conservative today. Dump the ball off just like that first play. There's the receiving core. Matt Dunnigan talked about getting McGarrity, talked about getting Connell in position to take advantage of some matchups maybe on Marsh. The offensive line, Seth Dittman is going to have his hands full today. Good defensive ends with Gentry and Abdullah. So we'll watch Seth Dittman, see if he can secure that left tackle spot.
Jamie Crysdale in his 198th consecutive game. Here comes the blitz. Jones buys some time, sidearms it to the wide side. Victor Ike has it, and a big first down for the Stampeders. Crutchfield making the tackle, but a heads-up play and a gain of 20 yards to Victor Ike.
You know, we always talk about this in the Canadian Football League. You need your quarterback to be mobile. And right there, the blocking scheme broke down, but Jones was able to improvise, step out of the pocket, and not run the ball, but stay behind the line and dump it off to his running back and let him do the work. He seems very composed on his first 2 plays. See if he can continue that throughout the game.
Victor Ike ranked 15th in the CFL in rushing, but a huge catch for the fleet man out of Texas. First down pass again. Nick Lewis, the leading receiver and a rookie in this Calgary receiving corps, hit quickly by Mobley, and the gain is only 3.
In Edmonton, defensively, the defensive line, like I just mentioned, good defensive ends. Abdullah and Gentry. Seth Dittman was saying he's concerned about their size and speed. Very quick and very big guys. Linebacking corps, Mobley, 3rd in the league in tackles. I mean, he's been doing it forever, and he's really the leader defensively of this football team. We got to focus on Stephen Marsh today, in for the injured Donnie Brady. He's going to be someone that Calgary is going to go after.
Yes, Donnie Brady not being able to play after being stabbed in the back outside a nightclub this week in Edmonton. On the ground, it's Ike up the middle on a 2nd and long situation, and he will not be anywhere near the first down, a gain of 4 on the play. And so a punt situation for the Stampeders.
Well, we've seen early exactly what Matt Dunnigan was talking about, a conservative game plan, cutting down that game plan. 3 fairly short passes in a run is very conservative, and they move the ball well. It was important for them to get that ball out of their own end and at least gain field position with the punt.
Victor Ike looking a little tentative on that carry, I thought, up the middle. Last week he had just 6 carries for 25 yards. Hebert to punt, standing at his own 25-yard line. Winston October, the lone man back for the Eskimos. Hebert, an end-over-end punt. At the 38, October heads to the wide side of the field. The Eskimos give him a wall. He gets outside the 50 and is finally hauled down. A 32-yard punt and a 10-yard return. The Eskimos on offense when we come back to sold-out McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Early first quarter action, and it's sold out for the, well, it's the 9th time in 10 years here in Calgary as Jason Moss gets set to start at quarterback. He is second only to Anthony Calvillo in passing yards this year, second only to Damon Allen in interceptions given up, just 5, and he leads the CFL in completions with 68%. He is indeed the comeback player of the year in the CFL.
Boy, he's playing really well, especially as of late, but he's a banged-up quarterback too, so we'll see if he can last throughout these games.
Yes, suffered a pinched nerve 3 weeks ago in Toronto. Back to pass, and it's complete to Terry Vaughn. Vaughn is tackled by White for a short gain of 6 yards on the play as we check the Edmonton starting offense this afternoon.
Offensively for Edmonton, in the backfield, Mike Pringle going after the records. Needs those 2 touchdowns today to tie it, and look for him to get those today, because be sure they'll try to give him the ball on the goal line. Look at that receiving corps, just tremendous. Pick the guy, doesn't matter, but I'm interested. Terry Vaughn doesn't have a touchdown yet this year. May get it today. Solid up front, all led in general by Tim Prince in the center.
Impressive receiving corps, all 5 receivers with a minimum of 30 catches. Second down and short across the middle, and it's Scott Robinson hit hard right at the 50, right at the first down marker. So this will be awfully close to a first down for Edmonton.
This is a different Jason Moss than we saw earlier in the season. I remember games against Montreal where he was kind of happy feet a little bit and always trying to make the big play, wanted to make the big play. Now he's relaxed and kind of letting the offense come to him, taking the dump offs and letting these great receivers get the yards for him.
The last 2 games he's completed 47 of 64 passes for 675 yards. Look how calm he is standing in the pocket there with heat coming from Big Joe Fleming.
Yeah, I spoke with Joe Fleming before the game today, and they know defensively that Jason's banged up. They know he's icing his shoulders, and he had
saw him before the game. He had ice everywhere.
Yeah, ice everywhere, and I had to do a double take because usually you look that way after the game.
Well, Tom Higgins was telling us yesterday, well, they've got the first down by about 6 inches. Higgins telling us yesterday that in the game against Winnipeg, he had very little feeling in his throwing hand because of the pinched nerve that was radiating right from his shoulder right down to his fingertips.
Can't be a good thing for a quarterback.
First down for the Eskimos. And on the ground they go. Mike Pringle's first carry of the day. He's off tackle right and into a horde of Stampeder tacklers. The gain will be about 2 on the play. Now he needs just 190.
190. We'll get to Calgary's defensive line. Joe Fleming, I was just surprised to see that he only has 2 sacks for the season. Going to have more pressure put on the quarterback by Joe Fleming in this defensive line. Linebackers are solid. I really think Scott Coe is one of the best defensive football players in the Canadian Football League. this year. And there's the secondary, Wes Lysak, 4 interceptions. Pretty good for a free safety.
2nd and 9. They go right back to Scott Robinson, and he's hit immediately by Milo Lewis, shy of the first down. So the Eskimos are in a kick situation. Will they attempt a field goal? We'll have to find out.
On a gain of 6, it's 3rd down and 3 Eskimos.
As a receiver, it's 2nd down, and I think they had 8 yards to go. Why run your route only 5 yards, 3 yards short of the first down? It just doesn't make sense. You've got to get to the sticks in order to get the first down. Just push it up 3 or 4 more yards.
Look for Ralph the dog and let him know if you want to be moved.
Sean Fleming will punt, standing across his side of center field. And Wayne McGarity, the man who ran back a missed field goal last Labor Day for 126 yards and a touchdown, is back. Flags are down as Fleming angles the ball to the far sideline, and McGarity steps out of bounds at his own 3-yard line.
Major hang time.
But flags
for Sean
are down.
Fleming, number 11.
And there's an indication this could be coming back, as Calgary may have been offside.
That's a great job by the Eskimos special teams. They use a little voice inflection on the snap. You know you have 3rd and less than 5 yards.
Offside, Calgary 25, 1st down Edmonton.
And as Bud tells us, Calgary was offside. You're 3rd and less than 5. Why not take a chance with an inflection, or maybe squeeze the football a little bit, see if you can draw them? And that's a huge mistake by Calgary.
There's Lewis coming offside on the outside, trying to get a jump.
Penalty.
This Calgary Stampeder team, a league worst in penalties, was 1,233 yards, and there's discipline failing them right there. Something Matt Dunnigan was saying yesterday is crucial to them having any chance of upsetting Edmonton today. So 1st down Eskimos at the 37-yard line. Here's Moss with all kinds of time in the pocket. Now he's flushed by Napastuk, rolling to his left. Lots of real estate. He's going to run. Finally turned inside. And Brian Clark makes the tackle for Calgary. But Jason Moss with all kinds of time, but couldn't find an open receiver. As we join Steve on the sideline.
Thank you, Mark. A bit of a scare early for the Calgary Stampeders. They're not knee-deep in receivers, and Albert Connell tripped on the turf, actually, and had ice on his left knee for the longest time. But he looks like he's up and walking about and could be back into this one. But they were worried initially.
That knee has given Connell problems over the last 2 years. Stampeders hoping he can come back. Mike Pringle hits the hole hard. Brian Clark makes first contact with the Stampeders, but not until Pringle barrels his way for a gain of 7 and another Eskimo 1st down.
You can see it in this run from Mike Pringle, what safeties and defensive guys talk about. Hey, he delivers the blow on Clark and moves him backwards and picks that 2 or 3 more yards up after contact with the defender.
Pringle running hard here with George Reed in attendance. Should his records fall today. Moss, 1st down, throwing to the end zone, looking for Vaughn. There's contact with Milo Lewis and a flag in the end zone.
Number 3,
and Vaughn has words with Lewis. And this looks like it could be an interference call.
Tough situation for Lewis. You're 1-on-1 with Terry Vaughn. He's got very, very quick feet. Terry beat him on a quick move there. He had a free shot to the corner.
Illegal contact on a receiver. Calgary 25, 1st down.
And Lewis just grabbed him. He had no choice. You see Vaughn's down to the right, out of the picture right here. You don't get a chance to see the hole, but he's tugging a little bit there at the end.
Terry Vaughn thought he might have his first touchdown of the season. Amazing that he hasn't scored one yet. And Joe Fleming leaving his calling card in the Edmonton backfield. It's 1st down, Edmonton at the Calgary 14-yard line. On the ground, Pringle. He's swarmed, and John Grace is there early to make the tackle for no gain at the line of scrimmage. John Grace, the defensive player of the month of August, has been one of the hallmark players on defense for this football team.
I was surprised to see John Grace has 5 sacks coming from the linebacker position. He mixes that up with 3 interceptions. Really a guy on the Calgary defense that is stepping up. Calgary's defense has played well, very well at times this season.
2nd and 10.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. Pringle motioning right. Moss rolling. Now he throws deep into the far end zone. Touchdown, Mookie Mitchell. His 8th, a team leading for the Eskimos.
Number 87, Mookie Mitchell.
Again, they go back to the corner route, which was so good to him with the Vaughn penalty just earlier. and now they just do it from the receiver furthest in from the tackle box. And Mitchell's amazing. Hasn't caught a lot of balls this year, but when they get near the end zone, he seems to be the guy they go to.
Daryl Mitchell with his 8th receiving touchdown of the season to lead the Eskimos in that department on a 13-yard touchdown pass from Jason Moss. The point after from Fleming is good.
Eskimos 7,
And the Eskimos, on their opening offensive drive of this football game, hit the end zone and lead by a major. Daryl Mitchell caps a 10-play drive that covered 60 yards with a 13-yard touchdown reception, his 8th of the season from Jason Moss.
Yeah, Daryl Mitchell, 32 catches on the season, 8 of those for touchdowns. That's a pretty nice ratio.
He had 73 receiving touchdowns, an Argonaut team record before being dubbed by the Argos just before this season. And Sanford again wobbling the kick at his own 10. Now he's got a handle and he's got some daylight. And it's Sean Fleming lowering the boom, chopping him down at the 45, but not until a 30-yard kickoff return by Salucio Sanford.
Well, here's the touchdown. Daryl Mitchell is right here, and he's being covered one-on-one by Wes Lysak, a free safety. You can't do that in open field. He takes him inside, he has all the space, and Jason just leads him to the corner. That's a real tough matchup to get a free safety down on a quality receiver like Daryl Mitchell, and I wouldn't look for Calgary to do that too often today.
Tough matchup for the sophomore out of Manitoba, Wes Lysak, who was benched a month ago by Matt Dunnigan to try to get his head back in the game. Tommy Jones handing off to Victor Ike, and the Eskimos read that as he runs into a wall. And Albert Reese at the line of scrimmage, but there are flags down. Big Albert Reese out of Grambling, who came to the Eskimos out of preseason way overweight.
Offside. Calgary, penalties declined. Second down.
With Wayne McGarity offside, there's 2 offside penalties now early for the Stampeders.
Well, they're making the mistake on the punt return team obviously leads to a touchdown for the Eskimos. That killed them. The fumble at the beginning of the football game hurt them from field position. These are the nerves of Labor Day. It's such a big football game. The young guys are nervous.
So it's second down and 9. Stampeders. 4-man rush. Deep downfield. Jones looking for McGarity. He dropped it. Oh, it was in his hands. That had touchdown written all over it.
McGarity, a very good receiver, and we all know receivers at times drop the ball, but this is a big play. Would have been a huge play for the Stampeders to come back and put a touchdown on the board. Great throw by Tommy Jones. Hey, stayed in the pocket, put the ball on the money. Got to make those plays in these big football games when you're trying to beat a good football team like Edmonton.
Yeah, that was a money toss by Tommy Jones. And now Hebert has a bad snap over his head, chasing it, and he does the right thing, hoofs it through the end zone for a safety. But Charlie Hebert had no chance on that errant snap. And it's 2 more points. Scott Regenbald, the long snapper, missing there. A timeout on the field. And the Stampeders hand 2 more to the Eskimos, who have a 9-0 margin here early.
The official sponsor.
9-0 Eskimos on Labor Day after a botched long snap will take Scott Regenbald out of the doghouse. It was Mark Mitchell, the rookie out of Queens, who made the snap. Regenbald just stood there in disgust. 2 more points, a gift to the Eskimos, and the Stamps will kick it off. Winston October heading to the wide side. Beats the first tackle. No, it's whistled down as he had his feet cut out from under him. 14-yard return as we take another look at the missed Mitchell snap.
Pascal Masson, number 9 for Calgary.
I mean, earlier on, we're seeing the mistakes by the Stampeders that have led them to the 2-8 record.
Well, Hebert did the heads-up thing to hoof that ball through the end zone. Otherwise, it could have been even more disastrous. Giving up the 2 points. Mitchell, the rookie out of Queens,
First and 10 Eskimos from their
feeling
own
it there.
36.
First down, Eskimos at their own 35-yard line. Moss on the ground. Pringle breaks the tackle. Hauling Calgary defenders with him, and Grace finally brings him down. It's a 14-yard gain. You know, Jason Moss and all the incredible passing he's done this year. We asked him the asset he has in the backfield on the ground.
I looked at our whole offense and the guys I'm throwing to, the guys that are blocking for me. I feel very fortunate just to be behind center every week. But definitely, I hope a lot of people are taking pictures of those snaps when they're getting close to the record, because I definitely want to have one on my wall.
Play action now. Naked bootleg. Jason Moss gets another block and heads towards the first down marker at the Calgary 51-yard line. Brock Ralph helping out with a block near the sideline.
Well, I pumped up Scott Coe early in the pregame, but Scott gets suckered in by the fake, and Jason has no one out there as he turns the corner and picks up almost 10, close for the first down. I'll tell you what, the way the football game's going right now, I want to see Matt Dunnigan call his guys together at some point and say, listen, we can't accept, here we go again. Because that's the feeling they're going to get right now. Go, oh boy, here we go again. Made mistakes. We're 2-8, another loss. He's got to get them together and say, hey, right now we have to get something done. They got to turn it around, or it's going to be a long season.
Well, Dunnigan was saying he needs to see more intensity from his football team. He said it was at an all-time low last week when they laid down against the Tiger Cats. It's a first down, and the Eskimos moving again. Handing off to Pringle. This time, he's hit right away, and it's Scott Coe playing with that bad shoulder, and that must hurt, making contact with Pringle.
Yeah, Scott is really banged up. You're at your 11th game of the season. Most guys are carrying some sort of injury, but he's got to wear a shoulder brace in there just to play. He's in a lot of pain. He's playing through it. I mean, the kid's a tough kid, and he's coming off a play where he just got suckered in and faked out, so he wanted to make up for it and has a nice hit on Pringle.
2nd and 10 Eskimos.
Yeah, he's got 8 games to go, and he says he'll need off-season shoulder surgery. Moss with time, now some trouble, runs into his own lineman, and they get him from behind, and it's Scott Coe again. Scott Coe with his 3rd sack of the season, and a 3-yard loss to force the Eskimos to punt.
Well, it looks like Jason has a lot of time here, so they're not getting a lot of pressure on him, but the secondary for the Stampeders are doing a great job. He actually has a chance to escape, but big Chris Morris would have none of that and tackles his quarterback, and Scott comes in and cleans it up.
3rd down, 13 after the
Get a look at Scott Coe there. What a great young football player. Going to be a star in this league if he isn't already one of the biggest stars in this league.
Only his 3rd season out of Manitoba, coming here as a free agent from Hamilton. Fleming at his own 45. That was close to being blocked. Fleming went down. They've contacted the kicker. At his own 3-yard line, it's Nick Lewis, the rookie, who makes his way across the 15. A 51-yard punt, but a 15-yard return, and this could be coming back.
Well, again, we're seeing the mistakes that are just really killing the Stampeders. If this leads into a first down, it's just like the offsides on their return team they had last series.
Jason Taylor, the rookie out of UBC, who made contact, albeit barely.
I don't think this ends up into an automatic first down, though. I think it stays short, and they either have to re-kick or accept the play they just finished. So, yeah, they'll probably decline that, actually, and pin them back on the 18.
Here's Bud Steen.
Contacting the kicker, Calgary. 93, penalty is declined. It's first down, Calgary.
It's a little bump there, and then Sean Fleming, being the veteran kicker he is, does a little acting job, but if it was more intent to go after the kicker, that would be the automatic first down on the 15-yarder. But that was the little bump, 5-yarder, so they declined it, pinned them back down in the 20.
Yeah, they've got the Stamps in tough field position again. That's the 4th Stampeder penalty of this first quarter here on Labor Day. First down, Stampeders. They stay conservative with a play action and a rollout run by Tommy Jones. A short gain and tough field position, and with a short playlist here, it's even shorter when you're pinned inside your own 20.
Yeah, nice play fake here, and the big guy does a little spin move here. Wow, Mobley barely able to hold on to his shoelaces. A good pickup, good call on first down. And with 2nd and 5, you can do a few more things.
Jones at 6'4", 230. He's a big man at quarterback out of Indiana. 2nd down and 5. Time. Slings it across the middle. In traffic. Incomplete. And Wayne McGarity, again, the intended receiver. Dunnigan telling us yesterday that he has schemed the offense to get Jones looking more in the direction of receivers like Wayne McGarity to get him the ball. And again, McGarity should have had it.
Yeah, it's a tough area to catch the football. Hey, if you're a slot back, though, you got to. It's a 5-yarder. Doesn't seem like a big play, but listen, that's a first down. You get a chance to make those plays, got to do it. I know it's tough. Been there before, but geez, you got to do anything you can to come down with that ball.
Dunnigan likely saying you got to fire that ball when it's in traffic like that, but clearly McGarity with 2 drops, another should have had one there. And it's another punt situation for Hebert. Here comes the rush, and he just barely got that away, bouncing at midfield. October at his 45, sidesteps a few cover men from Calgary and is dropped as he crosses center field. Good field position for Edmonton. Mike Pringle on the ground again. Look at him pull his way through 3 Calgary tacklers. Napastuk putting his nose in there along with John Grace, but Pringle continuing to be a big part of this Edmonton attack here in the first quarter.
Yeah, and that's not the norm for the Edmonton offense. Usually they're throwing the ball and Mike gets his yards later in the game when they're trying to take time off the clock and seal the victory. But he's gotten a lot more carries in this first quarter than he has in the previous games.
6 for 26 so far. Needs 3 touchdowns to break Reed's record of 137, and flags fly, and Napastuk is saying he was drawn offside by the Eskimo offensive line.
Offside, Calgary 92. Second down repeated.
You hear Napastuk protesting the call. That's the 5th penalty against Calgary.
Well, if you saw that right there, the center grabbed the ball again. He squeezed it, and his head came up on the hard count. So that's what Sheldon's complaining about. But you got to have some discipline. You got to watch the ball. You can't move until the ball moves.
That makes it second down.
5 penalties, 3 of them offside. And the Eskimos have called a timeout. Second down and 2 yards to go as Moss goes back to confer with Danny Machocha. You know, throughout the entire offseason, Moss, knowing that he would be the man to start when Ricky Ray left for the NFL tryout with the Jets, spent the offseason in Edmonton working on film with Danny Machocha, and we're seeing the results now. 87% completions last week against Ottawa, 90% a few weeks earlier, and 68% overall to lead all CFL quarterbacks.
Well, Danny's a good guy to spend an offseason with. I mean, what he did with Ricky Ray last year and now what he's done with Jason Moss is obviously paying off.
Second and 2. The handoff to Pringle, and Napastuk is all jacked up after that penalty, and he drills Pringle before he got to the line of scrimmage.
That's the type of play these they got to build on plays like that. Someone's got to step up and make a football play. Stop them 3rd and short. Now they'll get the ball back, and he just pulls right through there, splits the gap. It's hard to tackle Mike Pringle behind the line of scrimmage and keep him back there. He usually carries you for 2 or 3 yards, so that's a big play. Get the ball back and see what we can do with it.
He's happy. Big man out of Iowa State. It's a loss of 1 for Pringle. 3rd down. And they're going to go for it? No, they're going to punt here as Fleming stands inside his own 50-yard line. Here comes the rush. Fleming with an end-over-end punt. Deep, Wayne McGarity at his own 5-yard line. Puts his head down, diving for the 20.
Wayne McGarity
it's a 42-yard punt
Calgary.
by Fleming and a 15-yard return. So tough field position again for the Stampeders as we join Steve.
Thank you, Mark. It's bad news for the Calgary Stampeders. It is a possible torn meniscus for Albert Connell. He is finished for the day, so there will be no more Labor Day Classic for Albert Connell. Mark?
Boy, that's tough. First play of the game.
Not even a hit or anything. It's the turf monster that reaches up and grabs him, and then he hits his knee.
1st and 10, Calgary.
I know you're not a fan of this hard turf.
No, just for reasons like that. I mean, to have an injury that's not even contact related.
Stampeders on the ground, up the gut, and it's tough going for Victor Ike. He had sprinter speed, world-class sprinter speed in high school, the 10.22 for the 100 meters. That would have got him into the 2nd round of the Athens Olympics in the 100. And he's not getting much chance here to showcase that speed.
Well, we just don't see him in the open field. The early reception was the first time I've seen him with the ball in the open field. this season. He doesn't get it that much because they're not run blocking all that well for him.
2nd and 10 for Tommy Jones without his number 2 receiver, Albert Connell, gone with a knee injury. He's complete to Juhas, the journeyman, at the 28-yard line, make it the 29, but he's very close to a first down.
Eskimos 9,
And the
Calgary
Stampeders are going to have to punt. Once again, field position and tough defense from Edmonton holds them up at the quarter. Team could get going. The Stampeders trailing 9-0 after the first quarter, and look at the stats.
Yeah, 7-1 in first downs. The penalties obviously hurt the Stampeders. The possibilities of making big plays and not making the play has hurt them. It's not a good start, but the good news is it's only the first quarter. There's 3 more quarters to play. Let's get it done. If you're a Stampeder, I mean, you got to get going.
1 first down for Calgary, and Charlie Hebert with his 3rd consecutive punt after 3 consecutive 2-and-outs. Standing at his own 11-yard line, October, the lone man back for the Eskimos. This time he gets the snap. Hebert shanks one end over end, but gets a good bounce at the 40 and out of bounds. Oh, a nice punt, and there's a fight behind the play. Imoke Atogwe, it looks like, with a wrestling match with Scott Coe. And Scott Coe looks like he's making a wrestling move on him.
I mean, I don't want to overstate it, but I mean, you want to see intensity from the Stampeders, and I think Scott Coe is showing that. He's in on special teams tackles. He's getting in the fight. He's making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He's got to make that contagious, though.
He's making an early case for Warrior of the Game here on Labor Day. Don't forget, last year, Calgary and Edmonton combined for 416 yards in penalties, a bench-clearing brawl, and the ejection of Ed Hervey, who's not playing today because of a knee injury.
That's Labor Day. Brings out the craziness in the guys. They know what's on the line. I mean, they always used to say, it doesn't matter what your records are, come Labor Day, if you win that game, you've had a successful season.
Jason Moss mixing up his offense, standing in across the middle to Jason Tucker, the leading receiver. He's still fighting, and John Grace brings him down at the 40-yard line for a gain of 8 on the play. Tucker coming into this game, the number 2 receiver in the CFL behind G. Simon of BC.
Yeah, 29.6 yards per catch, pretty impressive. That's going to bring his yards per catch down right there, that one. But on that play, Scott Coe was coming off the edge on a blitz, and yeah, you see Tucker there, only needing 45 more yards to hit that nice 1,000-yard mark, and it's only 11th game of the season.
Amazing, he started the game 30 receptions behind G. Simon, who had 62.
But as I was saying, Scott Coe coming off the edge, he was flying, coming to get the quarterback, but you could see the last second he pulls up as he's about to make contact with the blocker, and that's got to go towards that shoulder injury of his.
Pringle now 8 for 28 on the ground. And this is close, so they'll measure it. But how about this? The Eskimos, the 8th leading rushing team in the CFL, with 10 carries already and 6 passes. So Jason Moss with a bit of a switch. There's the first down indication. And the Eskimos with 8 first downs now to 1. There's the ticker for the record. Pringle needs 164 to break the all-time rushing record of 16,116 yards held by George Reed, the Calgary car salesman, and CFL great who's in the building. On the ground, Pringle again, rushing hard, and who is it? It's Scott Coe again.
Pringle, number 34, John
Scott Coe playing hard, but this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is the most I've seen Mike carry the ball early in a football game. It's a huge switch. You say that's his 9th carry. And he's usually the guy in the second half that when the game is trying to be put on ice and you're trying to work the clock out, you give Mike the ball a lot. He wears the defense down.
He's turning this into a rodeo out there, Scott Coe. The Manitoba Bison. Second down, 5. Eskimos, flags down. Pass is complete to Robinson, and he's hammered. Oh, he takes a real shot there. As Fields comes in to finish him off, George White had him, and they really put a licking on Scott Robinson.
William Fields came in hard.
The defense is showing the intensity, and I get the feeling this is going to be against the Stamps again, but these penalties are just killing them because they're playing hard. It's just these mistakes are allowing first downs and letting Edmonton hold on to the football.
Scott Robinson was in a car wreck before week 2, but that looked like it felt even worse. But this could be another one against the Stampeders as we await the call.
Offside, Calgary. First down, Edmonton.
Looked like Derek Ford, number 95, and Matt Dunnigan clearly beside himself on the Calgary bench as penalties continues to hamper his football team.
Yeah, good hit here. George White, Boston College kid, first one on the tackle and then getting cleaned up by Fields. But they come into the game as the most penalized team in the Canadian Football League. You would think that they would work on that. Let's not get penalties, guys. This is hurting us. But it continues today here, Labor Day, and it's really killing them during this football game.
That's the 4th offside penalty, 6 in total. And look at the Eskimos, none yet in this football game. Full of intensity. That's what Dunnigan's asking for, but not the penalties. These are bad penalties.
Well, that 2 things Matt was asking about was discipline from his football team and intensity. And Matt Dunnigan, I think, will do a great job here in Calgary, but I think those 2 things start from the head coach. You create intensity, you motivate your football players, and you have to be the disciplinarian.
Jason Moss is 5 for 5 through the air right now. Only missed 4 out of 32 last week against Ottawa. In the air again, he's complete again. It's Terry Vaughn, and he's got lots of real estate. Finally pulled down from behind by Milo Lewis. And a big first down for the Eskimos. Terry Vaughn, 8-1 he is on Labor Day.
Milo Lewis has outside shade on Terry Vaughn. He's 10 yards off of him to begin with. This is too easy. That's like playing catch on air. A great receiver like Terry Vaughn and a good quarterback like Jason Moss, they'll complete that 10 out of 10 times.
Vaughn well on his way to his 10th consecutive 1,000-yard receiving season in the CFL. Still looking, though, for his first touchdown. Moss back to pass. He's got time, now pressure, and he's sacked. Garrett Smith and John Grace get the Edmonton quarterback for their 2nd sack of the football game.
Yeah, some good pressure by that Calgary defense up front. John Grace coming on the blitz, getting pressure on the edge, and then Smith cleaning up the sack. A big play because they're moving down. They're in field goal range. Get another sack, maybe push him out of field goal range.
Garrett Smith, the sophomore out of Utah, with his first sack of the season, playing in place of Antoine Young, who was injured 3 weeks ago against Winnipeg. Rolling the pocket now, Moss throwing. Winston October makes the cast, makes the tackle, still on his feet, hunting for yards, but they're in a 2nd and 16 situation. They'll be well short of the first down, but well within field goal range for Sean Fleming.
Smart play defensively by Calgary. You let them complete the underneath ball, and you just make the sure tackle. And you keep them from getting the first down, make them kick the field goal. And conversely, a smart play by Jason Moss. You don't want to force in a pass, maybe 16, 20 yards, try to get the first down and throw an interception and not get the 3 points.
Game was 16, 4 short of the first down. Fleming has hit on just over 69% of his field goals, his longest from 50. This from the far hash mark. Moss to spot at the 30. And play is whistled down before they can get the snap off. And it looks like there's too many players on the field. 1, 2, 3. You count the Eskimos out there.
Yeah, I get up over 6 and I forget how to count. But confusion, again, on special teams, which has hurt them early. And to burn your timeout right now at this, early in the 2nd quarter is not a good thing. Discipline. Won't harp on it too much, but
Safeway, touchdown to win.
So far, so not good.
Every Stamps touchdown in today's game. You can win a 25 CD prize pack.
The Trey Junkin, the special teams coach, can't be happy with that.
And we'll try it again from the 30. Fleming's first field goal attempt of the afternoon. The ball is up and good. With 10.5 minutes to go until the half. It's all Edmonton here on Labor Day. They lead Calgary by 12.
Ladies and gentlemen.
the CFL on CBC. Calgary on Labor Day, still waiting for the offense to ignite. And Tommy Jones says he needs to be more patient and not try to make big plays at every turn.
I like getting the ball down the field, and I like throwing and making plays and trying to go one step further with things. But I've learned a lot, with Coach Dunnigan. He's helped me out to be patient and just getting the ball out and let him make plays and not trying to see the next thing coming and just seeing what's there and just taking it.
From the Stampeder 35.
Dunnigan has gotten back to basics with his young rookie quarterback, trimming the playlist, keeping it simple. Rolling now. Jones with some trouble, throws the ball away. Scott Reginbald makes the catch. And a very dangerous looking throw in the grips of the defense.
It was dangerous. He does make something out of nothing. But I don't like to see the quarterback, when he gets in trouble, to scramble outside the pocket. I like to see them step up into the pocket. He does it a little bit late, but now he just kind of flips it dangerously. And
that's what Tommy Jones was just talking about. Yeah, how he likes to try to make a play at every turn. And Dunnigan saying that's when you've got to take one for the team and not expose yourself to a possible interception. He's already thrown 9 this year. Trouble. Throws it into coverage again for Scott Reginbald. He's complaining that Robert Grant contacted him before he touched the ball, but there will be no call. Once again, the Stampeder offense shrivels. They have only got 1 first down, and this isn't good news. Tommy Jones limping off.
No, he says he's going to be safe with the football, but here he's throwing into some pretty good coverage by the Edmonton Eskimos secondary. And, you can have the best laid plans coming in as a football team, and there you see the shot on Jones, why he's limping off the field. But when you're down 12-0, and the time of possession is 3-1 in favor of Edmonton, you start trying things that maybe you didn't think you were going to try coming into the game.
With a high spiraling punt that forces October deep to his own 10-yard line. October breaks a tackle. Now they've got him. Mark Mitchell makes the tackle for the Stampeders. A 57-yard punt, a 5-yard return, and medical attention on the Calgary bench for the quarterback. Huge battle for second place in the East. Mike Pringle still on his feet, still battling, twisting and turning. Tough sledding up the gut on the ground for the Eskimo, changing the legendary George Reed. And on the Calgary bench, quarterbacks warming up. That's young Michael Souza, the rookie out of Illinois State, and Marcus Crandall, the veteran, who has an injured wrist and is listed 3rd on the depth chart, just coming back to the team after the passing of his father, George, a week ago. And another tough break here. John Grace, the lead player on this Calgary defense, is down on the field.
We see him right there in the middle, number 7, in there with all the big guys, and he gets rolled on by his own player. That's the fear of getting in there with those big guys. You get all that weight on the back of your knees.
The defensive player of the month, John Grace, is down. They're working on that left angle. We'll have more when we come back to Calgary.
Well, here's the previous play, and here's John Grace, and here's Joe Fleming, and watch how the play develops. John's getting in the middle on a blitz, and Joe just rolls into the back of his knee, and that's not good, though he walked off under his own power with a slight limp, so hopefully he can get back in there as they work on his ankle.
So John Grace, who leads this football team with 6 sacks, 3 interceptions. The defensive player of the month is out. Second and short, Pringle hauling Mark Mitchell, who has come in to replace Grace at linebacker. And they'll move the sticks again. The Eskimos drive starting on their own 18-yard line. That's their deepest field position of the game after that 57-yard punt.
Mike is eyeing that record. I tell you, there's a little something with him today. He's got that extra spurt. He's fighting hard off making the first guy miss, getting those extra yards after contact. I'm telling you, he's staring down that record. Deep down inside, you know he's going after that.
He's got a 5.4-yard average per carry against Calgary during his career. Pressure now on Moss, and Joe Fleming wraps him up. Joe Fleming with his 3rd sack of the season and the 3rd of the game for this Stampeder defense.
Spoke with Joe right before the football game, the Wellesley, Massachusetts native, and he had that fire in his eye. He knows Jason Moss is banged up. Again, good job by the secondary, but Joe comes around the end and then he chases him down. And that's I talked to Joe a little bit. You know, only 2 sacks in the season. He's not happy with that statistic thus far, and hoping to make a difference today on Labor Day.
Big man who was once drafted by the NHL St. Louis Blues as the defenseman. That pass incomplete, intended for Winston October. That's the first incomplete pass thrown today by Jason Moss.
And a huge opportunity now for Calgary, with the score only being 12-0. As badly as they have played, or as poorly as they have played and been outplayed by the Edmonton Eskimos, if they can move down the field and get a touchdown, hey, 12-7, it's a football game.
Jason Moss, whose only previous Labor Day start was 3 years ago, when he threw for 312 yards, a thrilling 33-32 Edmonton comeback victory. Wayne McGarity back to return this punt from Sean Fleming. He's at his own 15, a high snap. Fleming with a high spiraling punt that forces McGarity back to his 30. McGarity is always dangerous on kick returns. Now reversing his field, cuts through the middle. Finally knocked down Sean Spender, making the tackle after a 50-yard punt from Fleming. Just a 7-yard return. Now to the sidelines for more on John Grace of the Calgary bench. Here's Steve.
Well, athletic therapist Black Titan looked at it, examined it with the doctor. They took the tape off. They are now retaping the ankle of John Grace, and it looks like he's going to be back into this game, which is good news for the Stampeders.
That's great news for the Stamps if he can get back in there. You can't afford to lose John Grace. He does too many things well for your defense.
First and 10, Calgary.
First and 10 for the Stampeders. Tommy Jones, after having his knee shaken up, a hitch pass, it's complete. And it's Celicio Sanford. Flag on the play, though.
Pass is complete. Sanford, number 81, made the catch and a flag down.
Very close to the Stampeder first down. They've only got 1 so far in this football game.
Well, it's a nice call offensively. That's back to what they tried to do the first series, with a conservative, quick pass and let the receiver get the ball in his hands and make some yards on his own.
As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Matt Dunnigan saying that he has changed some of the schemes offensively to help Tommy Jones look in the direction of the receivers that Dunnigan wants to get the ball to. Players like Wayne McGarity, who has dropped 2 already today.
Offside, Edmonton 95, penalty is declined, second down Calgary.
Second and inches for Tommy Jones and Matt Dunnigan.
That's a tough thing to do when you scheme a guy into it like McGarity, get him into that position. Okay, you want the football, and then bang, the ball's coming to you, you have a chance, and you don't make that play. I know it's happened to me in the past. It's the worst feeling, because what they're going to do is say, okay, well, Wayne's not getting it done. Let's get someone else in that spot.
Second down and inches, Stampeders. Jones, play action now, rolling with all kinds of pressure. He's in trouble, puts his head down. He'll have the first down. The big 6'4", 230-pound quarterback takes it to center field for the Stampeders.
Number 16, Tommy Jones.
That's just great individual effort. Surprising call, second and short, to do the play action, go for a big one. But this guy, it's painful to watch him run at times, but he's got the spin move. He's a big guy. He can lean forward, and that's a great individual effort. It takes those type of plays to get the guys moving, make something happen on offense.
10 at the Calgary 54.
Yeah, he was leaking oil at the 45, but he got that first down. At the 49-yard line, Stampeders on the ground. Victor Ike high-stepping. Mobley surrounds him. A.J. Gass helping out, and Ike has a gain of about 8 yards on the play.
Signor Mobley, number 27, made the stop.
The man who's making the case for Defensive Player of the Year in the West, Mobley, in on the tackle.
Mobley's been consistent for so long, but here Victor Ike getting involved. Again, Dunnigan had mentioned this yesterday. Consistent passing, short passing, but also get Victor involved. He's a good back, especially when he's in the open field with his speed.
On the ground again, Victor Ike puts his head down. and crosses the 45-yard line. And he'll have a gain of 3 and what looks like, yes, a first down for the Stampeders. They're second on this series.
Right back to Victor Wright. He's running the ball well. Why not? And he picks up the big first down here. Just finds the soft spot along the Edmonton Eskimos defensive line. They get the first down. This is exactly what I was saying. They played so poorly in that first quarter, but if they can move the ball down and stick it in the end zone, it's 12-7, and we're right back in the football game.
This is the 5th play of this drive for Calgary, their longest of the game. Throwing deep on play action, looking for Wayne McGarity. It's a jump ball and incomplete. Shannon Garrett was right there, draped all over the speedy Calgary receiver.
Cannot come down with it, Shannon Garrett.
That's a really good matchup, Mark. Sorry to interrupt. To watch. Shannon Garrett, a great football player. McGarity, a great receiver. Makes a nice move there, turns him. What Tommy has to do there is lead him. He underthrows him a bit, gives Garrett a chance to come in and make a play on it. But another opportunity for McGarity to come up with a big play for his team. Granted, that's a very tough catch right there, but if he can make one of them, that one or the deep one earlier or the one for the first down, that's what they have to do.
Jones good on 60% so far. His passes for 45 yards, but he's had a couple of drops. Quick pass across the middle. And Mike Juhas says he's got it. The official is waving it off. Incomplete.
On the tackle, Quincy Coleman, 25 for Edmonton.
Coleman was right there to make the tackle. And another letdown there for Tommy Jones, I would say, Darren, is his receivers are not going to bat for him.
Well, that one, whether he catches it or not, again, you're throwing a ball 5 yards when you have 3rd and 10, so they wouldn't have it. But the Eskimo defense does a good job. That's what you do. It's 2nd and 10. You blitz them. You make them throw the hot pass, which is off the blitz. You have to shorten your route. And even if they catch it, they're going to be short of the first down and have to punt the football away.
So Hebert to punt with Mobley and October back to return. It's a high sky ball, dropping at the 10. Flag on the play as the Stampeder cover team was in too close to Winston October. A 35-yard punt, just a 3-yard return. And there's a fight behind the play again. And it's Scott Coe who's really got his blood boiling today.
I was going to take a stab in the dark and say that might be Scott Coe.
Taking on Raheem Abdullah. Remember last year they had a bench-clearing brawl, and look at the eyes on Coe. Yeah, they brawled it here. Looked like a hockey game broke out, and Ed Hervey was the man who took exception, and he swung his helmet and decked the official and was suspended for another game after being ejected there. Wayne McGarity, the thrilling 126-yard return on the missed field goal. The Stamps had 2 kick return touchdowns to upset Edmonton 28-22, and Scott Coe is still talking. A lot of juke trash there.
Scott, you know, they always talk about trash talkers, and Scott is a trash talker, but he's one guy that can back it up. So you say, all right, that's okay. But get back to the Calgary special teams. Really hurting their football club today. No yards called, the 15-yard type. So you take them from the 10-yard line out to the 25. It just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, Matt McKnight was inside that 5-yard restraining zone. And again, Pringle gets the call. Brian Clark there along with Derek Ford. And the gain is only 2, but Pringle continues to figure prominently in this run attack from the number 8 rushing team in the CFL.
It's definitely a different strategy today for the Eskimo offense. Mike is really involved in this first half, and why not? They're controlling the football, they're getting the first downs, and they're dominating the game.
We're at the 3-minute warning here in the first half. And the Stamps, Labor Day, and the Battle of Alberta. And right now, the Stampeders and their sellout crowd have yet to show the intensity that Coach Matt Dunnigan wants to see. It's 12-0, Jason Moss and the Eskimos. Moss with time in the shotgun. Outlet pass to Mike Pringle. He goes inside of Milo Lewis and is knocked down right at the first down marker, a gain of 10 on the play. Pringle continues to show a yeoman's effort in this football game.
Boy, watch Jason hang in here, and last second, John Grace back out on the football field really gives him a tough hit from behind. And Mike in the open field, just put your head down, get those extra yards. Becoming a receiving threat too. He's just a huge part of the Eskimo offense in the first half today.
Well, Moss has shown great composure on the football field and off with the news of Ricky Ray being released by the New York Jets and talk about him possibly coming back to Edmonton.
pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage as this Calgary defense continues to get more pressure, and it's John Grace, who we saw moments ago having his injured ankle taped up in what looked like a really horrific injury, continuing to lead this defense.
He had the good hit on him the last play, the pressure on him, and this time he interrupts the pass and knocks it down. He's too important to the team to be on the sideline, so it's good to see him back out there. You mentioned the whole Ricky Ray thing. He handled that perfectly. You know, he's a real team-oriented answer to all those questions about Ricky Ray.
Yeah, he said, I'd love to compete for the job now that I'm healthy. Rolling now, Moss at the line of scrimmage, hit hard. Derek Ford, the former Renegade, with a big hit off the edge to slam the door on that Eskimo series.
Is number 95, Derek Ford, tackles him.
That'll be a sack, the fourth of the game for the Stampeder defense here.
The defense for Calgary is doing the job. They're keeping their team in the football game. They just need some spark, some sign of life from the Calgary offense and Tommy Jones. Jason saying he wants to be healthy to compete for the job after this Labor Day game. He's taken a lot of hits today. I don't know how healthy he's going to be.
Well, that shoulder of his giving him problems with the pinched nerve. The fact that he had numbness in his hand, he's been trying to heal that. Deep punt from Fleming. McGarity reversing his field, going wide here at the 40. Trying to get outside, and A.J. Gass just veers him outside and into the Calgary bench. Great pursuit by A.J. Gass to limit that return to 12 yards, the big middle linebacker for the Eskimos. And a reminder, you can vote for the warrior of the game. In the fourth quarter of this football game, Scott Coe making a case. A.J. Gass, the big man in the middle. But I think Coe has got to be the odds-on favorite right now. He's gotten into two fights.
Which laptop? I want to vote.
Big shots.
He's flying around, and again on special teams, he's making an impact.
Stampeders with their best field position to start an offensive drive in this football game. That pass is intercepted. Malcolm Frank is headed to the end zone. Frank dashing. Nobody will catch him. Touchdown, Eskimos.
I saw the play developing the whole way. They got crossing routes coming underneath. What you want in that situation is man-to-man defense. They got zone defense. Tommy Jones threw it like it was man coverage and threw it right into Malcolm Frank's hand. That's his 5th interception on the year. What he has to see here is that it's zone and the guys right over the middle are wide open. But instead, I think he anticipates man coverage in that situation, so he goes to his #1 read.
You mentioned the 5th interception of the season for Malcolm Frank. And a 55-yard return for a touchdown. Shades of last week when Jason Lamar ran one back 47 yards for Hamilton to the end zone. On the pick of Tommy Jones. That convert is good. It's all Edmonton here on Labor Day. Interception of the year.
We got these guys coming underneath, trying to create a pick, anticipating man coverage, and one's going to come back over here. And what you're going to get is zone coverage. So he wants these guys right over the ball after they cross. Right here, wide open. 2 guys wide open, but he throws it outside because he was anticipating the man coverage right into Malcolm Frank's hand. He's got to hit that dump off right over the middle. When you get zone coverage, all bets are off. Dump it off.
And there's an injured player down on the field. And it's Kevin Lefsrud, the big offensive lineman for the Eskimos, the right guard.
Not saying he's not truly injured, but I'm saying it's an old trick that if your defense was just on the field, you return one for a touchdown. You want to rest them and take a little time on the field. Maybe a little phantom calf injury or stretch the back out a little bit and give him some time.
Quarterbacks not saying much to each other after Jones' 10th pick in his 5th game this year.
That's CFL inexperience right now. There's so many veteran quarterbacks that would once you see man coverage and that type of rough play is what they call it when people are rubbing for each other. You drop it off to the zone guy underneath and you take your 4 or 5 yards and you move on. Again, he's trying to do too much.
This Eskimo secondary really coming on in terms of interceptions. In the first 8 games of this season, they had only 3. They had 7 in the past 2. There's the 8th in 3 games. So the Eskimos finally getting some continuity, although they're missing Donnie Brady because of the stab wound and having to put Stephen Marsh back in, finally getting some continuity in that secondary. There's an argument over that football, and Joe Bonaventura finally comes up with it. The big man rumbling right up the middle.
Number 34, Joe Bonaventura.
For a big gain of 25 yards.
To the ball and runs it out.
So again, decent field position for the Stampeder offense with 1:27 to go until halftime.
58 on the kick.
Battling Sanford for the ball here.
Well, there's a guy that wants to make a play. He has a nice return, gets him out in good field position out to the 43-yard line. I mean, Matt's got to be looking for people like this, someone that wants the ball in their hands, that wants to make a big play for their team to get some points on the board. Right now, they got the big goose egg.
Bonaventura listed 3rd on the running back depth chart of the Stampeders. And you're right, the Stamps haven't scored a point against Edmonton since the 4th quarter of last year's Labor Day. Victor Ike is hog-tied and thrown to the turf by Clinton Wayne, the newcomer obtained in that trade last week with the Ottawa Renegades.
They're still being very conservative, which was the game plan coming in for Matt. But as you see the receivers walking back to the huddle now, you know, they're kind of discouraged. They've got their heads down. Even coming out of the huddle, their heads are down. They're kind of talking to each other. They got to put everything behind them and just start playing hard football.
2nd down and 6. Time now. Jones rolling right, throwing into traffic. It's complete to Nick Lewis, the lead receiver on this Calgary passing attack. The rookie out of Southern Arkansas, and a 1st down for Calgary.
And a Stampeder 1st down.
Well, Nick Lewis has been playing very well for Calgary, and you talk about getting guys into a position and getting them the football. I think this is one of the guys they should start going to with a little more frequency. He can make plays for a football team, and he can also take it the distance.
1st down, Stampeders across midfield. There's pressure, and Jones in trouble. Drops the ball, then has it back. And that was over very quickly as Raheem Abdullah was right there for his 5th sack of the season.
Well, Quincy Coleman is going to come off the edge here on a blitz from his right side, and Tommy sees him, and as soon as he sees him, he gets into, okay, what am I going to do now? Instead of automatically going, okay, I got a hot read coming off the edge, I throw to this guy. He's trying to scramble. He's got a little bit of happy feet. You got to be a little calmer in that situation.
That was the 14th fumble of the year for Tommy Jones. He's lost 6 of them. Got that one back. Now the pitch out. Scott Reginbald puts his head down and is hit hard by Stephen Marsh, the rookie filling in for Donnie Brady. 20 seconds to go until the half. Brian Williams, the panel, Greg Frères, and Sean Millington standing by at Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton, getting set for Game 2 of our Labor Day doubleheader. The Argos and the Tiger Cats. They'll have halftime highlights here, all Edmonton.
I just seen that picture of the panel, and they just throw my seat right out of there. You think they'd leave it, leave it empty and just kind of...
I was going to say they edited you out of there. I was waiting to see what happened there. Oh, well.
They forget about you quickly, Mark.
This is the 6th punt for Charlie Hebert in the first half, an end over end. And October has it at his own 14-yard line. Tries to get outside. He's collared. Good punt cover. Gain of only 5 yards on the play. Matt McKnight is in there for the Stampeders. And that will be the last play of this opening half. The Stampeders, not much to show on offense as they trail Edmonton 19-0. Here's Steve now with Tom Higgins.
Thank you, Mark. I don't know that you've ever had an Eskimo team that played a perfect half of football, but it was certainly mistake-free.
Well, that's always a big key. If you can be mistake-free and continue to win the turnover battles as well as field position, you got to be happy right now going in at halftime, but we'll reload and get ready for the second half.
Are we likely to see Mike Pringle get more touches of the ball in the second half with a 19-0 lead?
Well, anytime we're up, we will get him quite a few touches, and as long as he can keep getting us first downs, he'll get the ball.
Thank you very much, Tom. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Tom Higgins and the Eskimos heading to the room, up 19-0 in this Labor Day Classic. You're watching the CFL on CBC. We're at the half in Calgary.
Flutie, of course, is out in Calgary, and Flutie, we will put your chair back for the Hamilton game. I want to talk about the Calgary defense in just a minute, because without that Calgary defense, this might be 50-0. But let's talk first about the Edmonton offense, and it began Greg Frere's early.
When some, at the hands of some sloppy play from the Calgary Stampeders, took some bad penalties, and actually the only offensive touchdown of the game so far. But this was set up by number of penalties. Got down there, and they got the matchup that they wanted. They ended up getting a matchup with Wes Lysak on Mitchell, ran the corner route, and unfortunately that's a matchup that is not going to be to the favor of the Calgary Stampeders. And they're just looking really good offensively. They're grinding the ball out.
Now in the pregame show, Sean Millington said, look, I don't care if Ricky Ray's been released by the New York Jets. He may go to Buffalo. He could come back to the CFL. You are very supportive of Jason Maas, and we saw a strong first half of football from the Edmonton quarterback.
Well, Jason Maas has been playing well, in my opinion, for the large portion of this year. And he starts off this game going 6 for 6. I think we're going to see here in a couple minutes, we're going to see him send his 6th pass to Terry Ray across the middle. I mean, his 6 completions in a row. This is the kind of thing that we're coming to expect and see from Jason Maas week in, week out. I remember meeting him downstairs at one of our games in Montreal, and he's sitting in the weight room working out before a game, getting himself ready. This is a focused individual, and that's the results that we see on the field.
Now, let's talk about this Calgary defense. I mean, their special teams have been brutal, total lack of discipline. Their offense is non-existent. But this Calgary defense played pretty good football game.
Yeah, and they're good. You have to keep in mind that this defense is right up there with Toronto and Montreal in most of the statistical categories defensively, and they just have to hold things together. A 19-0 football game, it doesn't look all that great on the scoreboard, but they just got to keep plugging away. Joe Fleming, talking about earlier that he needs to get more active. He did get his 3rd sack of the season. This is the 3rd sack of the game for the Calgary Stampeders, but this defense has to keep on coming forwards. Don't break down, just do what you got to do, and hopefully that offense will come along beside you.
Are they starting to point fingers in Calgary? What I'm wondering at from both you fellas is when the defense is carrying a team, albeit a 2-8 team going into this game, they starting to point fingers, do you think, Sean?
Well, I think it's very tough. It's a very tough atmosphere right now in Calgary. My experience with losing teams is, yes, they do start to point fingers a little bit. It's hard to stay cohesive. I mean, I think they need to follow the example of what Toronto has done, as even though they were struggling offensively, they were able to keep their team together. And right now, that's what Calgary has to depend on.
Just a couple of seconds. What about the Mike Pringle factor?
Well, you could definitely tell that going into this game, their priority was obviously to win the football game, but their priority also was to get Mike Pringle some touches, hopefully be able to get close to 100 yards. He needs 191 to be able to break George Reed's record, and he wants to be able to do it back in Edmonton on Friday.
I don't care what they say. The Calgary Stampeders, I don't care what the party line is, the Calgary Stampeders are for sale. And as we go to commercial in a couple of seconds, Matt Dunigan wearing too many hats for that reason?
Well, it's tough, because when you're wearing that many hats, what ends up happening is that the details fall through the cracks.
All right, we'll take a break. Halftime out in Calgary. It has been all Edmonton. Don't forget, coming up later, it's Toronto at Hamilton.
History of Excellence, brought to you by Nissan.
For 11 seasons, he was one of the most dominant receivers in football. If there was a clutch catch to be made, Alan Pitts would make it. Pitts caught 966 passes for a CFL record, 14,891 yards. A 6-time CFL All-Star, he was the go-to receiver for the likes of Danny Barrett, Jeff Garcia, and the great Doug Flutie. Alan Pitts played in 5 Grey Cup games, winning 2. Truly, part of the history of excellence, Calgary's great receiver, number 18, Alan Pitts. And prior to the game today, how about this, guys? The Stampeders out for their pregame warm-up, all wearing number 18 in honor of the great Alan Pitts. Here's Pitts coming out just a few minutes ago, halftime in Calgary, as he is honored by a capacity crowd at McMahon Stadium. And his name and number added to the Wall of Fame, part of a great Stampeder history in the city of Calgary. Mark Lee and Darren Flutie after this.
And Stadium in Calgary. Alan Pitts still addressing the sellout crowd here at McMahon Stadium as he is honored and his number 18 jersey retired, the all-time leading receiver in the CFL. Here's Steve now with Matt Dunnigan.
Thank you, Mark. Matt, let me guess. Intensity or lack of it was the big thing at halftime in your speech.
Well, yeah, you got it, Steve. I don't get it. You know, I don't understand it. And the game's there for the taking. You know, we gave them the ball back, a couple penalties, you know, and gave them the first touchdown. Then we got a safety, high snap, and we give them one on an interception. Spotted them 19 points, basically. And that's tough. You know, it's tough against the defending Grey Cup champions. We got to play smarter football, take advantage of some opportunities to make plays ourselves.
Struggling offensively, are we likely to see a change at quarterback?
Yeah, I'm going MC. He gives us our best chance right now. Tommy's struggling. He may be too amped up right now, Steve. So I'm going with Marcus. He's been here, and we'll see if we can't spark this football team.
Been a tough week for Marcus Crandall. Is he okay? Can he handle it?
You know, it's the best thing for him. Come out here and get his mind on football. He can handle it. He's been a pro, and he's shown his character time and time again.
Matt, thanks for this. Good luck.
Thanks, Steve.
Mark.
Thank you, Steve. Marcus Crandall's father died a week ago. He's got an injured wrist, but he's going in to the aid of his football team here. I'm wondering whether the Stampeders should have been out of the locker room and watching the emotional ceremony with Alan Pitts to maybe get some inspiration, because they're clearly not playing with any intensity.
They need something, Mark. You nailed it right on the head. I mean, the intensity level is not there. But listening to Matt Dunnigan talk, I mean, it starts with the coach. I mean, they were just totally dominated. Look at net yards, 143 to 50, 11 first downs to 4. They just weren't getting it done offensively. I think Marcus Crandall is the offense. I think you agree with me at this point. He gives the Stampeders the best chance to move the football and score some points.
I think he's in a very good situation. There's no pressure on him. He's had a rough year. Coming off 2 weeks ago, one of his best games of the season when he completed 65% of his passes for a touchdown and 1 interception in a tough loss against the BC Lions, the top team in the West. Calgary might have won that game, but for a couple of breaks.
Yeah, we've seen Marcus play really well in spurts this year, despite the 2-8 record. And Tommy Jones, he was given a great opportunity out here. This 5th game he was starting. Hey, he just didn't get the job done. And Matt knows that, so he's got to go to Marcus and hope something good can come from it.
Charlie Hebert to kick off the second half here in Calgary. That's bobbled, and Mike Bradley has it now. Straight up the far hash marks. There's a flag on the play at the 33.
22, Mike Bradley on the return.
A short gain for the muscle-bound Canadian.
Andre Arlane with the tackle.
And the holding call is coming back.
Illegal. Edmonton 43. First down.
So a fairly decent start to the second half for the Stamps. They're going to pin them back deep in their own territory. I got to imagine Matt Dunnigan went absolutely nuts at halftime. After that first half performance, he should have been throwing Gatorade jugs around, you know, kicking benches, that type of stuff, because they got to come out this first series and shut them down and make a statement right now that we're not giving up. We're going to battle, and we're going to win this football game.
Well, as Dunnigan said to Steve, they're not out of it. It's 19-0. There's still a half of football left to play. Tough field position, on the ground they go, and that defense rising up against Mike Pringle as they gang tackle him, and it's Napastuk again, the nose tackle, making first contact for the Stampeders. Jason Moss, who has been terrific again through the air as we check his passing stats, only 10 attempts though.
I like that though. He's not taking the big deep shots, the risky plays. He's laying it out underneath to his receivers, letting them do the work. 10 for 8, very efficient, very efficient. He's got the 1 touchdown. He's playing well.
80% completion percentage. Standing up, throwing to the wide sideline, too high. Intended for Winston October, and William Fields gives October a ride out of bounds.
A great 2-and-out stop for the Calgary defense. They're going to should get good field position off of this punt. And now let's see if Marcus can step in and make something happen. This was a very dangerous pass. I mean, you got to throw the ball across the field. It's about 50 yards. He he overthrows it probably intentionally, because you throw that short, defensive back steps in, it's a touchdown.
Yes, with William Fields closing. Sean Fleming standing at his 1-yard line. Stampeders with a chance here to get good field position and get a jump start to the second half. He's in trouble. They've got him at the 3. Oh, what a huge turnover on downs. Mark Mitchell, the young man who snapped that ball over Hebert's head on the punt in the first half, comes back with a huge play on defense.
This is an absolutely huge play on special teams where they struggled so badly in the first half. They come out, they get in Fleming's face, he has to pull the ball down. And I was actually thinking right before the play, in retrospect now it seems obvious, why not take the safety? You're dominating him. But now he's tackled on the 2 and you got a chance to stick it in, or 3-yard line, a chance to stick it in the end zone. This is what they needed. The defense stopped them, now they got to take it into the end zone.
Mark Mitchell made the tackle. Mark Calixt made the pressure, and it's first down at the 3 for the Stampeders. Crandall handing off to Victor Ike, and he is bulldogged right at the line of scrimmage. And A.J. Gass was there along with Spencer.
It'll be second and goal at the 2.
And it's second and goal now from the 2-yard line. Only 1 yard on that play for Ike.
Yeah, you wouldn't think the Stamps have the running game to pound it in here from the 2, 3, 4-yard line. We're going to have to see something a little bit different. Maybe a bootleg or one of these rub passes that we've seen. But boy, to say this is a must, I really think it's a must that they stick this in the end zone right now.
Second and goal, Stampeders at the 2-yard line of the Eskimos. And a big opportunity here on the ground. Scott Reginbald, touchdown!
As I was saying, Mark, I would run the ball in that situation, no question.
You are a savant. And the Stampeders are on the board. And they've got life here early in the second half. And the horse rides again in Calgary.
Marcus Crandall just engineers a beautiful 3-yard drive, hands the ball off twice. They get the touchdown, and 19-7. They're in the football game now.
Point after is good. The Stamps have their first offensive touchdown in the last 10 quarters, and there's reason for hope. Crandall engineering the 2-yard run by Reginbald. Scott Reginbald with his second touchdown of the season, and a huge one here to jumpstart the Stampeders.
Yeah, they really set that up with the great play defensively from their punt return team.
Hebert, kickoff. Taken by Mike Bradley again, his own 14-yard line. Bradley with speed, tries to get outside, and they wrap him up. It's Denny Montana making the tackle on special teams. A 27-yard return for Bradley, the 3-year man out of Waterloo.
On the punt, the pressure comes from here, from this side, and it's Mark Calixt forcing Sean to pull it down, but he looks like he has the ability to go left and maybe punt it. Not typical of Sean Fleming to make a mistake like that. Usually he will get that off, but a big play for the Calgary defense, and it turned into a touchdown.
Yes, you can see the big patch on Roger Reinson's forehead. He took a bottle off the head at a nightclub last week in Edmonton. There's a hitch pass. It's complete to Terry Vaughn, and Vaughn, who is famous for his yards after the catch, hustles quickly across the line of scrimmage for a gain of 6 on the play.
Vaughn with a gain of 6.
Now let's go down to the sidelines, and here's Steve with one of the game's great receivers.
I am indeed, Mark. Alan Pitts. Alan, a lot of memorable moments in McMahon Stadium for you, but when you were introduced here this afternoon, I think that would move up to number 1.
I would have to say that it is right near the top, especially coming back after a few years. Just all the emotions that naturally start to happen inside you. This stadium right here, it just does some very deep things for me.
Alan, anytime you can get your number retired, that has to be special too.
Definitely. Any sport that you're in, that you stay with the team long enough and you're able to have your number retired forever, that says a lot about that person. And to be up there on the wall with the greats, I feel extremely gratified.
Alan, thank you very much for this, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mark,
great day for the CFL's all-time leading receiver, who left here in an unceremonious exit when he was dropped by the Stampeders 4 years ago. There were some hard feelings, but this class organization has done it up right in honoring Alan Pitts today and retiring his number 18. And during that ceremony, Darren, your brother Doug was on the board. They had all the quarterbacks who had worked with him. It's amazing. Doug Flutie, Jeff Garcia, Dave Dickinson, they all passed and were part of that record. But Doug said he was the greatest receiver he ever played with.
I know, it's weird because I actually played with Doug once in '91, and I thought I did fairly well, but I guess stacking up to Alan Pitts. And then let's say it for what it is. Alan Pitts is the greatest receiver to ever play in the CFL. I don't think too many people will argue about that, and I certainly feel that way. And so Doug basically is just telling the truth, though. You think he'd throw a bone to his brother and say something about me, but it's really nice to see Alan on it. I mean, that time elapsed and the way it happened, that it just disappeared, no one talked to him, but to see him back in McMahon Stadium, and as he mentioned, just must bring back all those great memories of him playing here.
A lot of great players in this ballpark all together. You've got Pringle chasing George Reed, the legendary all-time leading rusher. He's in the stadium. Pitt's here. You're here. All-time leading catcher. Fleming gets this punt away, and it's a beauty. The Stampeders will start from their own 5. It's Nick Lewis with some speed, but he's tripped up on a return of just 15 yards by Bertrand. Marcus Crandall at the controls in his second offensive series, rolling right, throwing downfield, incomplete. Looked like there was some contact on Nick Lewis by Stephen Marsh, but there are no flags.
That's a matchup that I would expect Marcus to go after again and again. You got the new guy Marsh filling in for Donnie Brady. You got one of your best receivers, Nick Lewis, and I think that's a good matchup to go after. You see Marcus's numbers there. That was August 21st against BC, and we said he's played some good football. And for the most part, Marcus Crandall gives Calgary the best opportunity to win football games, and that's why Matt has made this change at halftime.
Second down and 10 for Crandall, the Grey Cup MVP in 2001 when he led an 8-10 Stampeder team over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's got a completion there to Sanford. Sanford working hard, and he'll have the Calgary first down as Crandall digs out of tough field position.
Makes the catch.
Well, the Calgary defense came out in the second half, and they had two and outs. Now Marcus is taking the snaps at quarterback. They pick up a huge first down when you're in your own territory. Momentum starting to shift a little bit in Calgary's favor.
Sanford, the rookie out of Middle Tennessee State, with a big catch and a big effort after the catch, and there's an injured Eskimo on the play, Rahim Abdullah. The rush end has taken a knee. Abdullah, of course, incredible comeback story a couple of years ago, having suffered a heart attack and was told that his cholesterol level was too high, that he was too much at risk to continue playing professional football, missed the rest of the season, rehabbed during the offseason, and was given medical clearance to continue his career, and he has been a mainstay on that defensive line for the Eskimos.
So you're from...
It's amazing what this game of football means to people. You hear like Marcus Crandall playing, 2 weeks after his father has passed away. Someone like Abdullah going through that situation with his health, but always thinking to get back onto the football field.
So Abdullah making his way off the field under his own steam, and there's AJ, the man that popped you in the mouth.
Thinking about the forearm shiver he gave me to the chin in 1996. Look, he's smiling and grinning about it right now.
AJ, one of several Stampeder teammates who turned out today to honor the great Alan Pitts. First and 10, Stampeders. With the alumni watching here, can they come back from a 19-point deficit? Handoff, Victor Ike with some speed, but runs into a host of Eskimo tacklers, and it's the Canadian Clinton Wayne making first contact. And he's all jacked up in his first start as an Eskimo since coming here in the trade with Ottawa.
Yeah, when you come to your new football team after a trade, you want to make an impact, and he does it here. Again, Calgary still staying conservative, trying to get that running game going, which they really haven't had for the whole season except for one game. But a little pressure on Marcus now with a long 2nd and 7.
2nd and long situation. Here comes the blitz on the outside. Crandall throws. It's complete to Sanford at the 40, and he's hit hard. Crutchfield makes the tackle, and they're short of the first down.
Number 8, Silicio Sanford, who makes the catch.
Crutchfield, who was burned for 2 long ones by Ottawa last week with a big fill there.
Earlier in the game, I talked about receivers not getting to the first down mark, but in this situation, he had gotten to the first down mark, but Marcus just let him back down the line, so he gave away those 2 yards that he would have had for the first down.
Well, it's tough, too, when the DB is closing fast and you want to get that ball underneath and protect the catch. But a punt situation for the Stamps on the one hop. Hebert has it and gets it away nicely. A line drive and a good bounce past October. He's back inside his 20. Here comes the cover team. He breaks the first 2 tackles. Finally hauled down Andre Arlane, making the tackle for the Stampeders on a good recovery by the rookie kicker, Charlie Hebert. In a battle for 2nd place this afternoon. Eskimos back on offense. Moss throwing deep for the first time. It's complete. Wide open. Jason Tucker, their big play receiver, is finally dragged down from behind. Joey Bose made the tackle as Moss airs it out.
Jason Moss hits number 83. Jason Tucker in
Great play calling by the Eskimos. We were just talking during the break that we hadn't seen Jason throw the ball upfield. Well, here they go, play action. Gets his deep threat. Jason Tucker beats Omar Evans for the big play. That's something we hadn't seen today. We thought maybe the injury to his arm was affecting maybe him throwing the deep ball, but he seemed to throw that one fairly well.
Danny Machocha, who pulls the trigger, calls the plays on offense with a beauty there, and a gain of 52 yards. Eskimos rolling now. Moss throws it underneath to Pringle, and he is thrown to the ground. Garrett Smith was right there and read that shovel pass completely. Moss had been good on just 2 of his last 6 passes before that bomb for just 16 yards. And Tucker now has cracked the 1,000-yard mark this year. The lead receiver with a 29.6 yard average per catch.
I was going to say, to get 1,000 yards on 34 catches is quite an achievement. 29.6 yards per catch.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. Straight back, Moss fires it out. It's complete to the newcomer, Reggie White, making his first start. That's his first CFL catch. He gets a chance to get into this football game, using him much like Troy Mills before he got injured.
Well, defensively, this is what you want them to do on 2nd and 10. Complete the underneath ball, but you have to get up there and make the tackle around 6-8 yards to keep you from getting the first down. They're fairly close now. I think they still made the tackle short, so they're going to put them into a field goal attempt. So that's what you do. Like, give them the underneath ball, come up, make the tackle, and make them kick the field goal.
The gain is 8. They're 2 yards shy. Fleming hit his first field goal from 30 yards out. This attempt will be from 27.
27-yard field goal.
Fleming has been good on just about 70% of his field goal attempts this season. He hits that one hard and good. So Sean Fleming is 2 for 2 in field goals. And the Eskimos now scored a 22-7 lead here, midway through the 3rd quarter of this Battle of Alberta. This offense coming to life after 2 2-and-out situations in the 2nd half. And it was the big 50-yarder to Jason Tucker that put them in position.
Yeah, but Calgary's defense did a good job. Once Tucker caught that long ball and the Calgary defense stopped him, held him to the field goal, which makes the score 22-7. Still only 2 touchdowns separate the teams. So you're still within striking different distance.
Matt Dunnigan with the shortened playlist. Needs his offense to come alive, and he has gone to the veteran Marcus Crandall, who play in this 2nd half, coming from 3 on the depth chart among quarterbacks in Calgary. Crandall, a little screen pass to Victor Ike. Ike turns straight upfield.
and he'll be very close to a first down.
Victor Ike, number 6, is close to a first down.
Victor Ike with that world-class sprinter speed, showing a bit of his movement there.
Just a bit short.
Victor Ike looks very good today, both running the football and catching the football. And you can see his burst of speed. That's what you do. You catch a short pass and get north and south as many yards as you can. And he ends up making a 2nd and short, which is a good situation for your offense. 2nd and 1, your playbook is wide open.
2nd and 1 for Crandall and the Stampeders. Just shy of the 45, on the ground to go. Victor Ike sidesteps the tackler, and he'll have the Calgary first down.
Number 6, Victor Ike.
Rashad Janty making the tackle for the Eskimos. Stampeder offense needs to answer back with Tommy Jones, the starter, on the bench in favor of Crandall in the second half.
Yeah, Victor has 8 rushes now for 23 yards. He's got the 3 catches for 34 yards. It's a good way to get him involved because he's one of those types of guys that if he gets the ball, he can go the distance on any play.
Abdullah back in on the defensive line after being shaken up. There's pressure now, and Crandall wisely throws it away. Singor Mobley blitzing from his linebacker position right in the face of the Calgary quarterback.
And they're going to call a penalty about 5 to 10 seconds after the play had been completed. It's a tough call, but they're going to call him for grounding and take it all the way back to the spot where he commits the...
Well, the pass has to cross the line of scrimmage, does it not? For it not to be grounded.
Yeah.
And that might be the problem here. He was so deep.
There's no infraction on the play. There was a receiver coming into the area. 2nd out.
Well, you look at it this way. I mean, that rule exists. You can't throw it away behind the line of scrimmage, but if you have a receiver coming back in the area, it's just like a screen pass. So that's the way that the ref ruled it, and a smart heads-up play by Marcus Crandall because he was looking at a 20-yard loss. I don't think too many 2nd and 40s have been converted in the CFL this year.
No, he was way, way back on the back pedal. 2nd and 10, and a chance here for the Stampeders to keep this drive alive. Here comes the blitz from Edmonton. Crandall under pressure, throws the ball incomplete again. Looked like it was intended for Montana, but it bounced 4 yards in front of the Canadian receiver out of Concordia, so it's 3rd down.
Well, they're bringing the house at Marcus here, going to get some pressure. They come free, big hit on him, but that's a chance right there for Calgary because you get
to return. A lone man back for the Eskimos. Charlie Hebert to punt. He shanked that one end over end. It bounces to the far sideline. October tries to find the handle, had trouble, and is quickly tackled. Mark Mitchell, the first man down, a 37-yard punt, with just a 5-yard return for the Eskimos, who go on offense when we come back to Calgary. Welcome back to sold-out McMahon Stadium in Calgary. The Eskimos with a 22-7 lead over the Stampeders, struggling on offense. And Jason Moss going back to work at the helm for the Eskimos after engineering that field goal drive on the last series, their first points of the second half. Moss nursing that pinched nerve in his arm. Stays on the ground to Mike Pringle. Pringle bulldozes his way up the gut. And George White is there to make the tackle for the Stampeders as we update you on Mike Pringle's assault on George Reed's all-time rushing mark. Still needs 2 touchdowns to tie the gold standard.
It's nice to see that they each played 13 seasons, but as Larry Mueller would point out, George Reed only had 16 games during his seasons while Michael had 18, but yet very comparable.
Still needs 141 yards to break George Reed's all-time rushing record. Jason Moss with authority across the middle. It's complete to Terry Vaughn, and that will be an Edmonton first down. Vaughn, who has been hammered this year with a bum knee and an Achilles tendon problem, has battled his way through those aches and pains and is the #2 receiver on this team right now.
Yeah, he's really started to pick it up the last few weeks, and that's going to be key for Edmonton's offense. They need Terry Vaughn, one healthy and one productive, a big part of their offense. You combine him with Jason Tucker and a strong running game with Mike Pringle. They got a lot of weapons to work with.
Yeah, he's the good luck charm on Labor Day. He's 8-1 in Labor Day games with both Calgary and Edmonton. And once again, it's Vaughn hanging on in close coverage.
Terry Vaughn, #3, makes the catch.
John Grace in there on the tackle.
Well, this is just a quick hitch route, which they do with Terry for so many years. They've done this, and he makes the first guy miss, makes the second guy miss, and they need 3 or 4 guys to bring him down. It's been said many times, but he's one of the best receivers in the Canadian Football League with yards after the catch.
Eskimos.
5 catches for 59 yards so far on the day. Up the middle, Mike Pringle with a big gaping hole. Off tackle right. And Scott Coe with that banged up shoulder of his lowers the boom again to stop Pringle. The gain will be about 10 as they move the sticks again for Edmonton. Pringle now with 15 carries and 61 yards.
Well, this is a nice cutback by Mike, seeing the soft spot. Good tackle by Scott, but this is the point of the game where usually Mike will take control. They're up by 2 touchdowns. They want to take a lot of time off the clock. So take a few first downs at a time and run the football with Mike Pringle.
Pringle was saying yesterday he's got his mom flying into Edmonton next week. There's a sack, and is that a fumble? No, they're ruling it incomplete. Joe Fleming jumping on it. He says it was a fumble, but the official, the referee, Bud Steen, says it's incomplete. Fans don't like the call here in Calgary.
Well, my question is it a fumble? I don't know if Joe caught it, but Bud seemed to be right there making the call. So he must not have caught it. Very close, but it did look like it skipped before he brought it in. But what I would like to see, is it a fumble or is it a forward motion?
There's no forward motion there at all.
Doesn't look like it on that replay.
Come on, get it out. Let's get him.
Another look at this angle here.
He tops it out.
There was no forward motion there, so the Eskimos catch a huge break as the boos serenade the official. And Jason Tucker holds on to that one and is hit hard in front of the Stampeder bench by William Fields. Let's take another look on that controversial play.
Now, unlike the NFL and the CFL, his arm has to be moving forward for that to be an incompleted ball. And from the way we can see it right now, he hasn't started his forward motion. Though it's a very tough call, and I mean, Bud was right there to make it. He was in good position, so who am I to get on the ref?
So what looked like a fumble recovered by Joe Fleming is ruled an incomplete pass. And Sean Fleming will punt for the Eskimos. Some talk there on the line of scrimmage.
Good communication between the O-line on the punt team there.
Yes. Fleming angling it to the 5. It's Nick Lewis at full speed down the sideline. And he's pulled out of bounds. Mike Bradley got a piece of him to turn him around. Otherwise, he may have gone deep into that Edmonton cover team. A 41-yard punt and a 15-yard return by the rookie Lewis.
Lewis is a kid we thought we'd see a lot more of, and I would think Marcus getting in there would go to Lewis, go to McGarity, get the matchups that they were trying to do early in the football game.
Marcus Crandall trying to get himself back into this game after going home to attend to the funeral of his father last week. Also banged up with that injured wrist, wearing gloves on both hands this afternoon. Can he ignite something here on the offense? He came in his first series on the 3-yard line of the Eskimos. Play action now. Rolling pressure from Robert Hart. Oh, it's incomplete as Robert Grant was right in his face, and McGarity drops another one.
Yeah, McGarity's had a tough day. A few of these catches, they're tough catches, but you know, you get a few chances, you at least like to come up with 1 or 2 of them. Nice play by Marcus, trying to get the corner, trying to roll out, forced to roll up and stop.
Tough catch, eh?
Yeah, McGarity was breaking out on an owl, and then he stopped, and Marcus led him, so it was a very tough catch for McGarity.
Let's go,
McGarity had 3 drops in the first half. Crandall now good on 3 of 7 attempts for only 26 yards in a 2nd and long, 2nd and 10 situation here. Eskimos show blitz, rush 3, thrown deep, and there's nobody there in a Stampeder uniform as Sanford cut his route off early. So the gun goes. We're at the 3/4 pole, and Dunnigan's Stamps are in trouble. To go in Calgary in this battle of Alberta that has been all Edmonton as we look at the 3/4 statistics.
Net yards, obviously a big standout for the Eskimos, 231 to 84. First downs, which Calgary only had 1 for a great part of the first half. Now they have 7. They're really struggling offensively to put first downs together and get scoring drives going.
And the Stampeders are punting again. It's been the story of their woeful offense here this afternoon. Hebert, an end-over-end deep punt. It forces October back inside his 35. He looks for a block, cuts upfield, and he's tracked down from behind. Joey Bose and Matt McKnight in on the tackle. A 50-yard punt and a 5-yard return for Mr. October.
Charlie Hebert.
We revisit the scoring plays in this football game. Darryl Mitchell on a 13-yard touchdown pass in the first quarter. Then the interception by Malcolm Frank, his 5th of the year, returning that 55 yards to the end zone. And then on a turnover on downs, Scott Regenbald from the 2-yard line has Calgary's only touchdown and their first in 10 quarters offensively. Moss now throwing the hitch pass. Terry Vaughn gets some blocks, and he's got daylight. Vaughn, though, trapped down by John Grace.
Terry Vaughn had the
and there's an injured player. It's Moss, the quarterback, down on one knee in the backfield. We talked about the injured shoulder he had 3 weeks ago, the numbness in his hand from the pinched nerve.
Yeah, he seems to get hit a little bit late on this one, and they take him down to the ground. He goes right down on that right shoulder.
Oh, did they ever?
And that's the arm he's had trouble with. You can see it bandaged up there.
You got about 700 pounds of football player on you.
Yeah, coming down on one shoulder of your body. And I mean, he's hurting coming into this game, and he's taken a lot of hits today. It's been a physical football game.
Well, he's a gritty football player. His career has been hindered by injuries since he came to Edmonton. Lost his job because of injuries to Ricky Ray, who has been released by the NFL's New York Jets. And now Bart Hendricks, the backup, is warming up on the Eskimo bench.
Well, that's what I start when I see Jason go down and know that he's been injured this year, and the talk of Ricky Ray being released and what's going to happen now, and people have their opinions of why would you ever do anything with Moss. Well, they're a 5-5 football team. He's fighting injuries. He's proven he can be an effective quarterback, so there's value in the league somewhere for him. So I wouldn't put it out of the question of a Ricky Ray return and guiding this Edmonton team in the second half of the season.
That's on whether Ray decides not to stay on the practice roster with the Jets or gets any other offers. Should he clear waivers, though, he is the property of the Edmonton Eskimos. Here's another look at tremendous punishment Moss took from Napastuk and Fleming as they just went limp on him, crushed his shoulder.
Yeah, you know, these guys knew Jason was banged up coming into this game, and they wanted to get their hits on him. It's part of the game. If it's legal, he had just released it, you know, get your hit, drive him into the ground, let him know you're coming after him. And in this case, it may put him out of the game.
Jason Moss, who suffered a pinched nerve in the game at Toronto. They jetted him home for physio, and he came back 5 days later and played against Winnipeg and was not at 100%, saying he could hardly hold on to the football because of the numbness in his hand from that pinched nerve. Reminder that right after this football game, we're going to Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton for Game 2 of our Labor Day doubleheader. The Argos and the Tiger Cats. And we've just received word that Ivor Wynne Stadium is sold out again this afternoon. And we want to take this opportunity to offer our best wishes to Ron Lancaster, who is recovering from surgery in Hamilton. Ron, I know you're watching. Darren joins me in saying get well soon.
Ron, and I'm sure Bev is taking care of him.
Here's Hendricks rolling out, and Scott Coe rounds him up as he crosses the 50-yard line for a gain of about 3 yards on the play. But Jason Moss has taken a beating here this afternoon, playing injured. Calgary defense running roughshod. And right there, Fleming in the plastic putting a look on him. Took a shot there, trying to get the ball away underneath the arm, and that perhaps one of the most dangerous shots a quarterback can get. And you can see now that the medical staff is examining his right hand. He's had some numbness in that hand. To wonder what he's feeling right now. Hendricks now steps up. The ball is tipped and incomplete as John Grace came flying in on the blitz for the Calgary defense.
And it flutters.
Stampeders were given all kinds of chances to come back in this football game.
I mean, that's a big turning point right there. Jason going out of the game and Bart coming in. He's seen limited action this year. Last week, I think he completed 1 ball for 5 yards. So he's not used to this. He's not used to being in this game, and it's a high-pressure game. It's still a close football game. As poorly as the Stamps have played offensively, still a 2-touchdown football game.
Hey, the defense has come to play for these Stampeders with, what, 4 sacks against Moss, and forcing him to punt here. It's a fake. Fleming throwing it up for grabs. It's complete to Mike Bradley. Bradley breaks the tackle, gets outside, and he's hog-tied from behind by McKnight. But a huge first down for the third-year player out of Waterloo.
Pass is complete. It's number 22, Mike Bradley. And that's
just when it looked like the Stampeder defense was setting up the Calgary offense, Fleming pulls the fake punt.
And it's so basic. Bradley just sneaks right out through the line of scrimmage, uncovered. Nobody's responsible for him. Sean's got a good arm, has done this in the past, and it's scheme things. It's right now Edmonton really out-coaching Calgary to give them the lead in this football game. And Calgary's defense has let up 1 touchdown. The other touchdown came on the interception.
Right.
So they've been playing tremendous defense.
The drive continues. Pringle negotiates the middle of that defense, and they'll have a gain of maybe 2 on the play, as the Stampeder run defense has been solid today.
Yeah, he's just going off left tackle, and as you said, the Stamps, they're holding. Eskimos not getting that push with the offensive line where you push it back 2 yards or so. The Stamps are getting the push.
And everywhere you look, John Grace is in the vicinity on defense. He went out injured with an ankle problem in the first half and has continued to lead this team, the defensive player of the month. 1:29 to go for Mike Pringle, with 11 minutes to go in the football game to break that record held by George Reed. The pass intended for Daryl Mitchell is too far and incomplete on the attempt from Bart Hendricks.
Number 87, Daryl Mitchell.
Calgary's getting a lot of pressure. They got a lot of pressure on Jason Moss, and they continue to pressure the quarterback, Hendricks. Smith gets the pressure this time coming from the backside and gets a hit on Bart Hendricks as he's releasing the football, and he overthrew Daryl Mitchell on the corner route.
50-50 Jack.
The Stampeder defense has been on the field so long again today. The Stamps are second last in the league in time of possession. Puts a lot of pressure on your defense.
Fleming is lining up for a 35-yard
Sean Fleming attempts this field goal from 35 yards out, and Moss is back in to hold. He's good on 2 for 2, make it 3. So Fleming, with his longest of the afternoon, adds his 3rd field goal, and the Eskimos build their lead to 25-7. Who will be the warrior of the game this week? We ask you to log on to cbc.ca and give us your votes. I think John Grace has got to be considered after being injured and coming back and being everywhere on the defense. How about Scott Coe playing hurt with that bad shoulder? He's been a grinder. And look at this. Jason Moss injured, warming up. He wants back in. he's got to warrant consideration. As Marcus Crandall scrimmages first down at the 35, they decided to pass on receiving the kickoff. And that hitch pass is complete to Dennis Montana, his first catch of the football game. And he turns it upfield for what looks like a Calgary first down.
It's a Stampeder first down.
This is a nice throw by Marcus Crandall. You get zone coverage, and it's a tough throw. Like I said before, it's about a 40, 50-yard throw to get it out there. But when you play zone, that's the spot they give up. And it's a nice first down. It's a tough throw to only pick up 10, 11 yards to get a first down, but you have to do it.
So it is a first down for the Stampeders at their own 47-yard line. Just under 10 minutes remaining in regulation play. Crandall play action, throws the hitch on the short side of the field to Sanford, and he goes nowhere. The ball is fumbled, and the Eskimos say they've got it. It is Edmonton football. Sanford fumbles, and the newcomer, Clinton Wayne, has it for Edmonton. The Eskimos on offense when we come back to Calgary. The leading tackler for the Eskimos forcing the fumble by Sanford.
Great effort by Mobley to get out there in the open field, not only make the tackle, but strip the ball out.
Well, there's Clinton Wayne with the recovery, and this was the scene as that play unfolded. Denny Crean, the defensive coordinator, was talking to his defense, and he looks up, and frustration there on the Calgary benches. His defenders have to go back on the football field. Pringle high-stepping and is tackled immediately by Garrett Smith as he crosses the line of scrimmage. Let's update your Gillette game notes, starting with Edmonton.
The balancing act, well, they've done a fairly good job of dispersing the ball. Hasn't been a big offensive game, though, for Edmonton. 24 passes, 21 rushes, really not their style of offense. Defensively, first and foremost is secondary. Boom, Malcolm Frank, 55-yard interception return for a touchdown. Great play.
Yes, 8 interceptions in the last 3 games for that Eskimo secondary. Bart Hendrick stays at the controls, throws it underneath. It's complete to Brock Ralph, but he can't turn it up. And again, Garrett Smith, he's all over the field here on this series, in on the tackle for the Stampeders. Brock Ralph starting in place of the injured Ed Hervey.
So third down and 3.
Again, the quick conservative passing, but again, a good job by the Calgary defense. They've done their job. They've seemed like they've been on the football field practically the whole game, but they force them into trying a field goal or maybe even punting in this situation. So they've been put in a lot of tough situations through turnovers and field position, but come through and played very well.
Yes, the defenders for Calgary have put in a hard day's work, and it will be a punt situation for Sean Fleming and the Eskimos with 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Fleming trying to bury the Stampeders in tough field position, hammers this one into the end zone. And it's brought out by Wayne McGarity. McGarity tries to sidestep the first tackler. He's off balance. And there's another skirmish after the whistle as some bad blood begins to erupt. And there's at least a half a dozen on each side pushing and shoving.
Well, I understand the bad blood. Calgary's probably frustrated. What I don't understand is McGarity bringing the ball out of the end zone, not giving up a signal, and getting only out to the 10-yard line when after they make a field goal, they take the ball out on the 35 instead of giving them a chance to have an offensive play on a kickoff return.
Well, speaking of hockey, a reminder that tomorrow at 1 Eastern, our coverage of the World Cup of Hockey continues with the quarterfinals. And then the second game at 7 in the evening Eastern as the unbeaten Canadian team continues its run. His pass is complete to the journeyman Mike Juhas, and he stopped immediately, but the Stampeders will move the yardsticks. How about your Gillette game notes for the Stamps?
Gillette game notes offensively for the Stamps, back to the school, back to the basics. I wanted Tommy Jones to get very basic. They've done that, been conservative, but they've been pathetic offensively and have not gotten the job done. Defensively, no Moss. They've limited Jason Moss. They've done a very good job defensively. Sacked him 4 times. hurt him actually, and he's out of the football game. So defensively, they've done their job.
Darren, this is Calgary's season right here. They need to win these 2 games against Edmonton. It's intercepted. Robert Grant has it for the Eskimos, loses his footing, and Nick Lewis brings him down. The second interception of the game for the Edmonton secondary. And Crandall paid a price after throwing that one awry.
Well, that's great timing, Mark, as you tell us this is their season, and he throws the interception.
The Eskimos take over in Stampeder territory, and a tough one for Marcus Crandall. Marcus Crandall with his 12th interception.
Well, he's thrown into a little bit of traffic here, and as you see, he's trying to hit the in route, and here's the interception. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4 Edmonton guys, and if you want to count him, 5. It's just not a good spot to throw the ball. There's only 2 receivers in that spot. Big turnover.
It's been that kind of year. 12 interceptions in only 7 games for Crandall. Flag on the play as Pringle carries off tackle. Pringle's been stuffed many times in this football game, and in his last 6 games, he's averaged 72 yards against the Stampeders. As Tommy Jones now warms up with Mike Souza.
Edmonton 67, first down repeated.
Well, that'll show you the problems that Calgary and Matt Dunnigan have right now. He's not confident with anyone, not comfortable with any situation at quarterback right now. I mean, you're going to bring Tommy Jones back in, who didn't play that well at all in the first half. Still think Marcus Crandall gives him the best chance of winning.
First and 20 after the penalty.
We may have to delete the word classic off this Labor Day confrontation today. On the ground, Pringle again, and the Stamps have made it hard on him as he continues to chase George Reed's record. Pringle has carried the ball often in this football game, 18 times, but just 69 yards. That catch out of the backfield, one of his longest offensive plays of the game. But they've been all over.
18 rushes for 69 yards against this Calgary defense. It's a good effort. It's a good day for Mike.
123 yards from Reed's record. Play action now. Naked bootleg for Hendricks. He throws it back across the middle. It's complete for a first down, and there's a fumble on the play. The Stampeders say they've got it. John Grace has it for Calgary. As Daryl Mitchell dropped it. And the Stampeders get a turnover of their own. And Crandall will stay in at quarterback.
I love the effort that the Stampeders defense has put in today. And again, they create a turnover here. John Grace, as you said earlier, seems like Brian Clark actually gets the football out of Daryl Mitchell's hands, and they recover. But again and again, the defense comes out and makes a play that gives them a chance to get back in the football game. The problem is execution offensively.
Brian Clark, who they say is at the head of the class on this defense, always around the football, always funneling the play to one of his teammates if he's not making it. Man who spends a lot of time in the film room. First down Calgary. Crandall with time here, lots of time. Now he feels some heat, bailing and throws it away.
Well, there's a flag. Yeah, Mike Juhas was just tackled while he was running a route, but I'll tell you, the secondary did such a good job up until the point where they committed the penalty. Marcus had no one to throw the football to.
Illegal contact on a receiver, Edmonton 27, first down.
Mobley called.
You see
contact.
Mike coming across here, right there. I think it's Mike Juhas, I'm not sure. But that is considered illegal, actually, to do that.
The official attendance for
Celicio Sanford was actually the receiver who was dropped there. And so the Stampeders get a break. And a first down across their 31-yard line.
And thank you for letting
us announce the sellout here, 35,651 fans. Stampeder fans continue to show support for their team. Out of the backfield, Victor Ike with a straight arm. Another one on Crutchfield. And he goes out of bounds just short of the first down marker for a gain of 8.
Run out of there.
Stampeders moving the football here in their own territory. And that second game of our Labor Day doubleheader is coming up as Eastern Canada, Ontario East, will see the game between the Argos and the Ticats, and we'll stay here for the West. 2nd and 2, Stampeders. Victor Ike going laterally. He's right at the first down marker. The ball is pulled loose, but play was whistled dead.
And whistled dead.
As Quincy Coleman quickly scooped it up for the Eskimos.
Marcus is trying to get him going, start to get into a no huddle. I mean, there's 4.5 minutes left. Time is running out. They need to get going into a no huddle offense. So Marcus is trying to generate that.
Well, he wasn't down, and it was a fumble, but it was whistled dead. And now they'll measure to see the forward progress of Victor Ike.
Well, he got the first down. He started to move a little bit sideways and backwards there. Maybe he should have just put his head down to make sure he got the first down. But they got the first down. They're still moving.
42.
First down, Stampeders. Crandall with pressure again. Steps up. It's complete to Denny Montana. But a short gain of the play. Malcolm Frank in there.
Brought down by Malcolm Frank, number 10 for the Eskimos.
I think that Juhas in the area for Calgary. The gain is only 3, so make it 2nd and 7.
Maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part that they should be in a no huddle because they don't have that much time. But here they're breaking into the no huddle offense right now.
Crandall calling his plays at the line of scrimmage. 3-man rush, and he's flushed, and he'll run, sliding very close to the first down. So the Eskimos dropping 9 into coverage on that play. Crandall seeing that and rushing for what looks like another Calgary first down.
Well, they're fortunate in this instance because it's close to a first down, so they have time to gather while they measure for the first down and call a play, and they should get right to the line of scrimmage. Nice play by Marcus, stepping up, picking up the first down, hopefully, which he did. And now they should be at the line of scrimmage right now because the clock is going to start. And then they'll lose valuable seconds.
3.5 minutes to go. The time ticking, as you say, Darren. And this Calgary team down by 18. They need 3 touchdowns here to come back. Crandall in trouble, throwing off his back foot, incomplete.
Marcus Crandall throws incomplete.
Another blitz off the outside, forcing him into trouble. Wayne McGarity was the intended Calgary receiver. That ball wasn't even close.
No, he was just throwing that football away, which is actually a good play. It stops the clock. You avoid a huge loss. He didn't have anyone open to throw the football to. They're struggling with their clock management. They've let too much time slip off in between plays. And again, time's going to slip off because they didn't have the play called and they weren't at the line of scrimmage. And if they're interested in having a chance of winning the football game, they've got to be on the line of scrimmage with the play called.
Very conservative offensive football game. Here's the blitz again. Crandall off his back foot. Incomplete. Intended for Sanford. And it was right at his shoestrings. And so that offensive series for the Stampeders will end right there. Another punt situation as we hit the 3-minute warning in the 4th quarter. Wayne McGarity, the Labor Day hero 1 year ago, a picture of frustration today. Nick Lewis, the young, speedy, leading receiver, the rookie, not a factor at all as this offense continues to shoot blanks in the Battle of Alberta. Bear punting again, an end-over-end punt. And Mobley has it at the 20. Singor Mobley outside, shoestrung tackle, brought down by Matt McKnight. As we check the game summary in a very one-sided football game, Daryl Mitchell with his 8th and team-leading touchdown catch started it for Edmonton.
Yeah, he did, and defensively the secondary came through again and not only played very well, but had a touchdown of their own. Jason Moss, conservative game, got injured, took a lot of hits. Going to be curious to see how he can bounce back and see if he can play Friday in Calgary's 4 turnovers. But beyond the 4 turnovers, the undisciplined play of the Calgary Stampeders is a big factor today.
Matt Dunnigan continuing to work with his quarterback, Crandall. Pringle again. Tough going against this Calgary defense. You know, the only Calgary touchdown, the 2-yard run by Scott Regenbald, coming after the botched punt attempt by Sean Fleming when the Stamps were set up on the 3-yard line of the Eskimos. That was their first offensive touchdown in 10 quarters of football.
Yeah. Yeah, they have not put a drive together of any substance today, and they haven't done it, obviously, as you said, in recent football games either.
Second down and 8.
In the Canadian Football League, that's a real problem when you can't score points.
Second and 8 for Bart Hendricks and the Eskimos. Pringle continues to get the ball. Danny Machocha was telling me yesterday, the offensive coordinator for the Eskimos, if they've got a lead late, they're going to keep giving the ball to Pringle as he continues his assault on George Reed's all-time rushing record. Came into the game needing 192 yards to break the mark.
The one thing I thought that we might see drop today would be the 2 touchdowns to tie the record, but as we mentioned, the defense of Calgary just didn't allow it.
Yes, Reed's record of 137 career touchdowns still safe. And it's been a workmanlike blue-collar day for Mike Pringle. He has 16,000 yards even now, which puts him 116 away from the record. And within reach next Friday night when these two teams renew this rivalry at Commonwealth Stadium. As Pringle says, his mother will be in attendance there.
Yeah, as we were talking earlier, how nice it would have been to do on the Labor Day Classic. You know, big football game in the season, but geez, why not Friday night in front of your home crowd? You know, where they always have a huge crowd for that Friday back-to-back.
Yes, they often get crowds in excess of 60,000 for that return engagement after Labor Day. Last year, Edmonton smoking the Stampeders 38-0 in that rematch after the Stamps upset them here 28-22. Scott Coe has played his heart out today, as has most of the defense for Calgary. They stall the Eskimos again, force him to punt. Nearly blocked. Fleming gets a high kick away. Wayne McGarity at his 30. Nowhere to go down the sideline, so he steps out of bounds at the Calgary bench. The Stamps on offense with 1:43 to go in the game. Well, many of the fans of this sold-out McMahon Stadium have headed for the exits. Disappointed once again by the Stampeders, who are headed for their 9th defeat in 11 games.
Whereas as poorly as they are playing, and it's a funny time of the season because the NFL is making their cuts now, I think you would expect to see some changes in personnel for the Calgary Stampeders.
Crandall throwing upfield. It's complete to Denny Montana. Montana turns it upfield close to center field strike, and he'll have a first down as Darryl Crutchfield made the tackle on defense for Edmonton.
Great effort by Denny Montana. He made that catch almost in the middle of the football field, but went for a sprint to the sideline to try to stop the clock. Made it to the sideline, so it stopped the clock.
And now Montana has taken a knee just outside the Stampeder huddle.
But that's what you got to be looking for. Listen, you're going to lose this football game today. It's 25-7, a minute 33 left. But as a coach, I want to see the guys that are still out there battling, making a play like Denny Montana just played, still fighting, because, you know, at some point you got to turn this thing around, and they can't be just looking at each other saying, boy, here we go again.
Well, a look at that Stampeder huddle revealed a lot of long faces.
Well, it's frustrating. I mean, the guys are playing hard, but it's just not happening for them, and it's all falling on the offensive end. So, I mean, that can create a little bit of tension in a football team too, when your defense is playing so well, and yet just nothing can get going on offense.
Well, the Stampeder club feels it's a lot better than its record of just 2 wins and headed for its 9th loss. But the problem is still at quarterback for this football team as Denny Montana heads off under his own steam. Tommy Jones has started the game, completed his 9 passes for 68 yards. And Crandall has completed 9 of 17 for 81 yards. A total of 149 yards passing, 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown. It's not going to get it done.
No, the interceptions were the key one. 1 for the touchdown, and 1, as you were saying, this could be their season.
Crandall throwing incomplete in behind his intended receiver, with Malcolm Frank, the man who returned that pick, 55 yards for a touchdown. And Montana getting some attention on the Calgary bench. They work on his knee.
Well, they're getting a little thin at receiver now. With Montana down, Connell was down with the turf monster injury early in the game, and we're going to have to see some new faces in the receiving corps for the Stamps for next week.
Well, this is big
Friday.
for the Eskimos as they will move to 6-5 and try to stay in touch with the 7-3 BC Lions. We're on a 6-game winning streak. Casey Critters at the helm. Crandall throwing downfield in traffic. It's complete. Nick Lewis, the rookie, makes the catch, but a flag on the play.
A nice play, but it looked like the slot back down below jumped the gun and was offsides. I don't know what they'll call, but
offside. Calgary 19.
Michael
Second down repeated.
Jumped the gun, just mistimed his sprint to the line of scrimmage. It's a shame because it was a good play, good completion.
Once again, penalties hurt this Calgary team, the most penalized team in the CFL this year. And they'll move the ball back. It'll be 2nd and 15 after a nice strike to Nick Lewis for a first down. Matt Dunnigan wearing 3 hats as GM, head coach, and offensive coordinator, sacking John Jenkins, his offensive coordinator at midseason, working with young quarterbacks, going back to his veteran here, Marcus Crandall. Wide open, Andre Arlane cuts upfield, and he'll cross the 50 for a gain of about 11. He'll be about 4 yards shy of that first down.
Dividing on the tackle for the Eskimos, Steve Marsh, number 13.
Well, it would give them some confidence, and certainly would give Marcus Crandall some confidence that they can move this football down and just even get a field goal. Because remember, it's a quick turnaround. They're going to play the same team Friday night. Give yourself something to build on, whatever it is, a little bit of confidence.
3rd and 4, and the Stamps will go for it. Juhas makes the catch right at the first down marker, just across the 45-yard line. Is it complete? They are marking it. They'll spot it as a completed pass, and they'll move the yardsticks. First down, Calgary. Mentioned quarterbacks. Kevin Federick was in town yesterday during practice.
I spoke with Kevin yesterday. He was in town making a highlight film, putting a highlight film together. So
his own highlights?
Yes, his own highlights.
Is he wrapping himself around the CFL, or?
I don't know what he's going to do with it, but you know, he played in the Arena League down in San Diego.
Crandall's pass intended for Victor Ike, and they rule that incomplete, hitting the turf before the catch was made with 44 agonizing seconds left on the clock here. The Eskimos were beatable today as the Calgary defense limited Jason Moss, sacking him 4 times and putting him out of the football game, injured again. But the Calgary offense could not respond.
And again, I mean, give some credit to the Eskimo defense. They have played well today.
A little flat pass to Reginald, and the big running back puts his head down and crosses the 35-yard line for a first down. Well, we asked you to vote online for our Warrior of the Game, and the ballots are in. Brought to you by Rona, the how-to people, and it is Jason Moss leading his team to victory despite being injured again. Warrior of the Game, brought to you by Rona, the how-to people, proudly Canadian. So Jason Moss finishing this game on the sideline, watching as that pass intended for Wayne McGarity falls incomplete. And that's been the story of this pass and not catch game for the Stamps. McGarity, their most lethal receiver, dropping a few.
Yeah, here's another one that, well, it's a great defensive play. Mark is just trying to take a chance, trying to get it into the end zone. But those plays early in the football game with McGarity, especially the one up the seam, maybe the second series of the game, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. If you make that play, who knows what happens with the rest of the football game. But
well, Stephen Marsh coming across in his halfback spot to knock that one away. And Albert Reese is down and injured for the Eskimos, the veteran out of Grambling. They've had some problems on that defensive line. Kelvin Kinney got hurt in that motorcycle accident. He's out right now. fact, the Eskimos have really been plagued by injuries off the field. In some freak mishaps this year. No less than a half a dozen football players in the organization felled by off the field freak mishaps. Donnie Brady stabbed in the back this past week outside a nightclub at Edmonton. Jill Leslie with an impacted wisdom tooth that landed him in intensive care and emergency surgery. Kinney, the motorcycle mishap. Robinson, the car accident in week 2. Quincy Coleman knocked off his motorcycle in Atlanta at 70 miles an hour and missed the start of this season. And Roger Reinson, who was hit by a beer bottle outside a nightclub in the mean streets of Edmonton, took 8 stitches on the head.
Not the way you want to miss football games. These type of things are just crazy things, and some seasons are like that. We talked to Tom Higgins about that. It's like just one of those things. You try not to be in those situations, but just a crazy year that way as far as the injuries are concerned.
Tom Higgins was saying as soon as he learned about the stabbing of Donnie Brady, he said, I was just disgusted and started thinking about my own kids. He said, you know, it used to be that problems like that were solved by pushing and shoving and punching, but when there are knives and guns and baseball bats involved, it's pretty scary. Stampeders on offense, second down. Wide side pass is complete to Andre Arlene, and he's hit hard out of bounds by Stephen Marsh.
Drilled by Steve Marsh, number 13.
He goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line.
Well, they got 18 seconds left. They got to convert this 3rd and 1. Curious to see, not that it matters whether they try for a field goal or they just try to get it into the end zone with a touchdown. The way they've struggled putting the ball into the end zone, I would imagine they'll try for the touchdown.
3rd and 1 gamble for the Stampeders. They'll pass. Crandall across the middle. And it's intended for Nick Lewis, and he's got it for another first down.
First down, Stampeders, number 82, Nick Lewis.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Rogers, your world right now.
One second left on the clock as once again the Stampeders let time tick off. This will be the last play of the football game, mercifully, as the Stamps try to win a moral victory and put the ball in the end zone.
A football scholar, a local person, should start a time management class here in Calgary. And I think a few of the people within the organization of Calgary, and maybe their quarterback, should attend it, because they've consistently lost time between plays because they don't have the play call and they aren't at the line of scrimmage.
Last play of the football game for Crandall. Back to pass, throwing into the end zone. It's out of bounds and incomplete and nowhere near Andre Arlene as the gun sounds to end this football game. The Eskimos prevail 25-7 as Tom Higgins' football